Hey, even I'm too old for this. And I got a decade under Macri. He's got a decade on me, and even I'm too old for this. Holy cow. Thanks everybody for coming and joining me. This is my first post-game live stream. I'm very excited. Very excited to be here. Macri's not feeling great. I know a lot of you guys come to see him. He's the best in the biz. But I'm filling in tonight, and I am thrilled to be doing it after that game. Oh, man. There's so much to talk about. I can't wait to see all the super chats and be able to kind of interact directly with everybody. That's such a cool opportunity. Quickly, pun intended. What a game. You know, the first thing, and as I'm sitting there, as all of the turmoil comes upon us there in the fourth quarter and overtime, and it looks like they're going to win 3 different times, and it looks like they're going to lose 3 different times. I just reminded myself, because I knew I was coming on tonight, the first thing that I'm going to say, no matter what happens, is you got to be so proud of this basketball team. As a fan, watching the effort that they put forth against a team like that coming off 2 losses, they're desperate right now. It's one of the best teams in basketball. And there was not a moment in that game where you thought to yourself, they look outclassed. First couple of minutes, maybe the exception when Boston jumped out to a quick lead. But after that, we played with that team step for step with elite effort. Mostly great execution. The defensive energy, the rotations were on point. And no matter what, and we're going to get to the stuff that went wrong down the stretch, and it's important to talk about it. But the first thing that we should all be saying is it's a privilege to watch that basketball team play. As frustrating as they are, and they're really frustrating sometimes. They're playing for the fans in a way that I think you have to be proud of. It's representative of the fan base that loves them and roots for them and cares about them, even with the ups and downs. And I think you just have to, that's the first thing you got to say in a game like that. On national television for the world to see is you should be proud of that basketball team. Result, irrelevant. I'm not talking about the result. And even had they lost this game, I would have come on and said the same. This would have been my intro, because it's really the thought I think that's most important, is what a performance and what an effort by this basketball team. Punching above their weight, a team that's more talented, that's better, that has higher aspirations. Really inspiring effort. So that's the first thing I wanted to get out of the way. We'll talk about all the individuals, and I'm sure the super chats will will instigate a lot of great conversation here. You can't play prevent offense. You can't. And I don't mind blowing a lead to that team with a 10-point lead, playing your game, because that team's really good and they could come back from 10 down, even if they can come down from 13 down. I think got to 13. They can come back from 13 down even if you play good basketball. So, it's not only about the Knicks. The Celtics are really good. But that said, from 5 minutes to go, and there was a possession that I can think of after Julius came back in the game, the Celtics scored, and the Knicks were rolling the ball up. There are 5 minutes to go in a 10-point lead. That's 3 possessions in the NBA. It's a 24-second shot clock. You can't milk the clock from 5 minutes down. That, you need to learn that lesson, because we've seen it over and over and over again. Not all blown leads are because of this, but you could see it from the 5-minute mark. You cannot play prevent offense. And for those who are unfamiliar, it's a football term for defenses that just kind of sit back with a lead. And inevitably, the opposition comes back when you do that. You can't milk a lead in the NBA. It's too easy to score, especially against talent like that and 3-point shooting like that. It can't just be Brunson, Randle pick and rolls on the top of the key with 10 seconds left on the shot clock when no one else can touch the ball unless it's at the buzzer. Quentin Grimes missed a couple of shots there, and he's got to make more. but his only opportunity to even touch the ball is in that last second of the shot clock when he finally gets the touch off a crazy swing pass from Brunson to Randle. It's not good offense. So they need to get out of that. They need to learn their lesson. Can't milk the lead. That's the second thing I wanted to say. Julius Randle played as well as anybody on the Boston Celtics tonight. Guy is playing at another level right now. And it's hard to believe. It's remarkable, the turnaround from a year ago. He was in a zone in this game. There was not a Celtic on the floor, and that Celtic team has a lot of good individual defenders. If it was Rob Williams, he was going by or stepping back. If it was Tatum or Brown, he was going through. There was no matchup for him tonight. Grant Williams, forget about it. He sees Grant Williams, he sees a piece of meat. Like, if that man plays like that, then yeah, the Knicks can play with the Celtics because they have a freaking star. A bona fide star. Like, if Randle keeps this up and he keeps that attitude positive, and I thought there were times down the stretch where I just saw his body language sink, and you want to try to avoid that. It's hard for him, but I want him to try to avoid that. But man, he is cooking out there. He's cooking out there. And as on an individual basis, I think he's the first person you have to shout out. Immanuel Quickley is a star in his role right now. He's the best sixth man in basketball right now. He played against Malcolm Brogdon tonight. Who was better? Because Malcolm Brogdon might win the award. And I thought Immanuel Quickley was better. Offensively, he's so much better getting in the lane, taking the contact and finishing. He made a couple threes tonight, found a couple of those streak threes that we've been waiting for. And defensively, he's one of the best rotational defenders in basketball. And I'll point out a couple, I'll put him out on Twitter tomorrow. Some of the defensive possessions where he's rotating around the floor before the Celtics even know where they're going with the ball is special. So Immanuel Quickley, I wanted to shout out. He's been special these last few weeks. And, one thing I do, and I wrote it out on Twitter is, I love Jalen Brunson, and I get that he's your guy and he's tough as hell and he's not a bad defensive player, but Immanuel Quickley cannot be on the bench in last minute defensive scenarios when you have a timeout. He can't, because he might be your best defensive player. He's certainly your best defensive, I think he's better than Grimes overall right now. But I think Grimes and Quickley need to be on the floor. Like Brunson, I love him, but he's limited there, right? So if you have a timeout and you can get Brunson back in for the offensive possession, I think Quickley's got to be in the game because he's that good and he's been that good. I wanted to shout him out. And look, I thought Jericho Sims started off totally oh my God, this is a kind of offense I haven't faced before. This is not there's a lot. Boston does a lot of stuff. There's ghost screens, there's real screens, there's cutting, there's moving. You gotta be on point against that team. And the first few minutes, I didn't think he was up to it. And as the game progressed, he grew into it. And man, that's what development's all about. You throw them into a game like this against a playoff opponent like this, and you see a guy grow in front of your eyes and start adjusting to the game and start hanging on switches and rebounding with those guys. That's what development's all about. I would say the same thing about Deuce McBride. Slow but sure development, getting better. RJ Barrett. And I know there are going to be some comments about RJ Barrett. What do you say about RJ Barrett? RJ is extraordinarily frustrating. He really, there are times where you feel like he is actively damaging the team, not just because he's taking bad shots and missing bad shots, but because the bad shots that he takes and the bad shots that he misses result in fast breaks often. And there were probably 4 or 5 times in that game where Boston got a 3 or a fast break layup off of an RJ miss because he's often falling and out of the play, and down comes Boston. Defensively, it's very uneven. There were times where it was pretty good tonight. I thought the first half was bad. Off-ball awareness wasn't great. Did a decent job on Tatum and Brown here and there, but then that last possession, he gets blown by Brown with really no resistance, right? And that's tough. You need to hold your ground there. God, is he frustrating. But the one thing that you always say about RJ Barrett is there's no player that's more resilient. He doesn't care how bad it's been. He doesn't care that he almost killed me in the first 3 quarters. I almost died from watching RJ. But man, he gets that rock. he gets that rock in the corner down the stretch, and you think it's going in. You think it's going in because, man, it's next play. It's an amazing attitude. Sometimes I wish he'd actually lose a little confidence just to make sure he's passing the ball a little bit more because, man, he gets too shot happy. He was too shot happy tonight. I know he made clutch plays. He made the clutch three. He made the clutch free throws. All the credit in the world. You're not being an objective fan if you walk away from this game and say RJ was good. He was not good. And he needs to be better. But you think he can get better because of the attitude that he has. And that's the encouraging part. And he made enough plays in this game, including some huge plays, man, that you have to give him credit for. So, I think it's the good and it's the bad. Man, I'm sure I forgot something that I wanted to say. This was a lot to take in and then a lot to try to get out to everybody here. GMAC, you want to come say hello and take me through this process here? What are we doing next?
Man, oh, man, oh, man. So a couple of things. We're going to do moment of the game in just a second. So we're going to break down a couple of big moments, which is funny because I had written down a couple in regulation, and then I threw that piece of paper out after the last 5 minutes of the game happened. It's funny watching it on the second playback of this week and letting the casual crew experience one of these meltdowns in real time was very fun to watch. At a certain point, bro, everything was like they stopped coaching. Like you said, prevent offense, which was terrible. And you're right, like 100%. And at a certain point, I just was like, turn my mic off and let them just kind of let it all out.
Man, I'm sorry I missed that. I was going to tune in and then because I was doing this, I'm like, I really have to sit down and have my notes and because otherwise I'd just be laughing with those guys.
Highly recommend the venting session. And at a certain point it was entertainment, but at a certain point it was like, they're not wrong. Like I can't say anything that they're saying right now is wrong.
No, next time I'm in.
Biggest win of the year, which follows up the most recent biggest win of the year. And I thought you nailed it that, to come back the way they did in overtime and not quit you got to give them that credit.
It went down 5 there.
Down 115, 110. And then Julius hit the 3. RJ hit the 3.
Julius 3, man.
Yeah.
And he hit, and it's a similar one to the one he hit against Cleveland. It wasn't in overtime, obviously, but when things were just starting to reel a little bit and he made a 3 from the top of the key, man, he is something right now.
And I thought your tweet, now obviously you're going to do your grades later, but your tweet.
I put them out. No, I got my grades out.
Oh, you did get your grades out. Okay,
out.
so I'll make sure I retweet that for you.
I can't say they're any good because it was quick, but
Your tweet that I live in a world where Julius Randle and RJ Barrett are hitting clutch free throws to ice a game, and the Celtics, specifically Jaylen Brown, is missing front rimming 2 clutch free throws.
That's what you call being tight. The definition of his arms didn't release the ball.
Yeah,
it was kind of crazy to watch.
We called it lemon booty on the post.
This is a guy that's been in like big playoff games. He's been in the finals, like against the Knicks on TNT. He can't release his free throws. Kind of
months removed from the NBA finals, exactly.
Wow.
And this is the pressure cooker moment that he sucks in. So I have 3 potential highlights or moments of the game that we can choose from.
Let's do it.
The first one is the RJ 3 to put them up 116, 115.
Yes.
Now Jaylen Brown then came down and big boyed him to make it 117, 116. But getting the lead again in overtime was the first time I thought, oh, they could win this game.
Yep.
Okay, that's interesting. The second one I got, it has to be Julius Randle's 2 free throws, which I said this a couple weeks ago because we've focused a lot in crunch time on the missed free throws, which with good reason. We need to also remember when they make them.
Yeah, and you don't want to get too statistical about it, but it probably has more to do with just their, who they are as free throw shooters than it does with clutch or not clutch. You never want to admit that because it's it takes away from the narrative, but ultimately probably, I think if you look at I think clutch free throw shooting has been proven to be a little worse, which might have more to do with fatigue than it does with choking. But the reality, Jalen Brunson's a good free throw shooter. Julius Randle's a pretty good free throw shooter. He's gonna make some,
But if I told you there will be 4 free throws at the end of 6 free throws at the end of this game, 4 will be by Julius Randle and
2 by RJ
Barrett, and 2 will be by Jaylen Brown. What 2 do you think would go in, and what two do you think would miss?
No,
you know?
100%, man. And they were huge. Okay, so that's number 2, the Julius free throws. I like it.
So I want to say Julius laughing at Jaylen Brown, but like something has to be said about those Brown missed free throws as far as moments of the game. Because when that foul happened, because to your point, that quickly should have been in the game. We were yelling about it on playback too.
Like, it was also a little bit of a weak call, I gotta say. Like Brunson put his hand on him, and Brown sold that big time with a little leg kick, a little, whatever. But no, Quickly probably should be in that game.
Yes. So as a result, the guy that quickly should have been in the game 4 commits the foul, and then Julius laughing at Jaylen Brown. Something I'm going to put Jaylen Brown's missed free throws as the moment, but what the moment I'm pointing to is Julius Randle, who has his crunch time issues this season, getting caught on camera laughing at an opponent, which was like, oh wow, like the vibes. These are the vibes tonight,
Man, I have my issues with Julius Randle. I'm not sure I'll ever get over them. And the body language still kills me sometimes. And you can't tell me that body language doesn't matter in sports, because it does. It just does, especially from your leader and your best player. It matters. But he's clearly made a concerted effort to kind of pick it up and smile more and like the stupid stuff, but I don't think it's stupid stuff. I think it really matters. And I know he does that meditation before the game. They showed it on TNT, and I think that's real. And it shows a concerted effort to improve as a person. Forget about a player. And I think that that's commendable. That's great.
Just one final stat before I put up the poll and send you off into the super chats. First of all, 1,200 people watching right now. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We're hoping to have this be a celebratory.
That also makes me a little nervous. 1,200 people.
Dude, you're killing it so far. Believe me.
Right.
I, as your producer tonight, I'm very pleased with how you're doing and agree and co-sign with just about everything you've said so far.
All right.
The Knicks are now 15-10 on the road this season. Only 2 other teams have more road wins. That's the Brooklyn Nets, who lost at home to the Detroit Pistons tonight. Shout out to Brooklyn.
Wow.
And then the Boston Celtics, who have now lost 3 games in a row and only have a one game in the loss column lead on the Philadelphia 76ers for the 1 seed in the East. So things are not as immaculate in Boston. And as someone who in other sports roots against Boston teams, I'm sure you can enjoy the New York Boston of it all tonight as well.
Man, I can. And it's funny. My neighbor's from Boston, actually. And he drove me home randomly. He drove me home from the train from work today. And I was literally talking to him about how I'm so sick of Boston sports being amazing. I'm so sick of it, man. Freaking the Bruins never lose a game.
Yep.
Literally, it doesn't happen in hockey. Never lose a game. The Celtics are first in the. I'm sick of it. So this is like, yeah, hell yeah, we beat Boston in freaking Boston Garden. That's great stuff.
Yep, 2-0 in rivalry week this week would be pretty fun to make it 3-0. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. 27-23 on the season for the New York Knicks through 50 games. Alrighty, you ready to do this?
There are a couple other moments because the game ended up being very long. But man, Julius's jam on Tatum, and he's been throwing him down lately. He's had a few of these over the last couple of weeks. He had another one in the first half, driving left that he jammed. That was pretty sick too.
What do you think? Does a performance like this? Now the voting is like we're in the last couple days where coaches get to vote for the All-Star game.
I think a performance on TNT against that team, prime time, I think that's gonna help. That's only gonna help. I mean, man, he showed out tonight. What was Tatum? I don't know. What were Tatum's
I got the stat line. What's up? Tatum ended up with. Jason Tatum ended up with 35 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists on 12 of 26 shooting, 9 of 9 at the free throw line.
Yeah, so Randle was as good, if not better.
Yeah.
Like, he might have been the best player on the floor in a game with Jason Tatum, might win the MVP.
37, 9, and 2 for Randle tonight.
Come on, man. No one could guard him tonight.
With that much usage, two turnovers.
On the most two, right, and one really terrible one down the stretch, but okay. Nobody could guard that dude tonight. He could do whatever he wanted. It was like crazy to watch. Man. All right, let's get to Super Chat, shall we? Let's do it.
The vibes are immaculate tonight.
The vibes are so immaculate. My first one, I get this win. This is unbelievable. All right, fellas, what do we have? How does this work? You put them up on the screen for me? Here we go. Ryan Wong. Thank you for your contribution. I don't get it. Every team does ISO down the stretch. Why isn't it working? I feel like I'm living in a goddamn simulation. That is such a great question, Ryan.
So I should just jump in real quick.
Yeah.
The first 6 happened before the game ended.
Oh, good.
So you get the
I get to
reaction to regulation and
get
then
to relive it.
The rest. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's do it. It's a great question. Every team does ISO down the stretch. And I want to clarify, it's not really ISO because the Knicks run a pick and roll with Julius and with Brunson. What happens is teams inevitably down the stretch switch that pick and roll. And when you switch a pick and roll, so now you have an option. You can run the Brunson mismatch. It was on Robert Williams or Al Horford tonight. Or you could run the Julius mismatch. And the Knicks kind of swap between those two options. It ends up being an ISO, but I don't want it to sound like they're just running in isolation. They're trying to get a mismatch at least. Now, one of the problems tonight was that Jaylen Brown was guarding Brunson and Rob Williams or Horford was guarding Randle. And when they got that switch a few times, they went to Randle on Jaylen Brown, which is not a mismatch. Jaylen Brown's a big dude. And they didn't go to Brunson on Williams, which I thought was the better option. That's one problem. Julius shouldn't be posting up Jaylen Brown at the foul line. That's just not very good offense. The other thing is you don't have to just run one pick and roll with 12 seconds left on the shot clock. You can run multiple pick and rolls. You can run a ghost screen where you fake the pick and roll and slip out and see if you can catch the Celtics off guard. You can run a handoff. You can initiate through the elbows. Yes, the Celtics are going to switch anything, and no matter what you do against a defense like that in a late game situation, it's going to end up in an isolation. But there are ways to make the isolation a bit cleaner with a little bit less help where they can't load up as easily. There are ways to try to confuse the switching defense and maybe you force a mistake. They're making it as predictable and as easy on the defense as they possibly can. That's my issue. It's not that they're it's not just that it's not just isolation, but what they're choosing to do is effectively hunt a mismatch with 12 seconds on the clock. And you can't get to a second side action. It's so slow. And it's so much pressure on the guy with the ball. I just want them to ease that. Just run a couple of different actions in there that you might get a confusion on the defense. You might force a confusion or a mistake and get an open look. It's just too much pressure. So yeah, that's an issue. And I don't think it's not the isolation in and of itself. It's kind of how they're doing the isolations, I suppose is my answer. But thanks for the question, Ryan. Mythic Monty, thank you for the contribution. Lack of defensive rebounding turning me into the Joker. Turning you into the Joker. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know who the Joker is. Help me out, Andrew. What do you? Yeah.
Have you seen the movie Joker, the one with Joaquin Phoenix?
Yes.
Okay, so that
Weird
is
movie.
more about social commentary, but he has that line of and because of this, I become the Joker. And it's a common theme that because of the circumstances of
there's no way Macri would have gotten that one either.
Maybe not. There's many an expression that I have to explain from time to time, but yes, that is a common theme to be lack of Obi minutes is what turns me into the Joker.
All right,
lack of quickly minutes, so this is
what I'm here for. We're learning. All right, let's see. We had the Celtics had 16 offensive rebounds. That's a lot, and the Knicks only had 10. Now I do want to caveat that a little bit. I mean, we are missing our 7-footer, So yeah, they're going to get hurt on the boards a little bit. There were some frustrating moments, I thought, especially in the first half where we just didn't box out. Even Jaylen Brown got a couple offensive rebounds. Tatum got one where it's just box out your man. But a lot of it is Mitch cleans up a ton. And Mitch would have had more offensive rebounds, especially against the small Boston lineups when Rob Williams wasn't in there. And so I do want to give them a little bit of a pass for the rebounding disparity. But it's fair, and it is irritating. Oh, Robert W. Cross, the legend. Where the hell is John? Robert, you knew he wasn't here. He's not feeling well. Maybe send him a DM and wish him well. RJ Barrett is the goddamn man. The tortoise wins the race. Hashtag 53 wins, and we're still going strong on the 53 win prediction here. RJ Barrett, it depends how you define the goddamn man. You know, one might define the goddamn man as like a consistent and excellent basketball player, in which case RJ Barrett is not yet the goddamn man. But if you define the goddamn man as a resilient player who you want to take a shot down the stretch when the pressure is on, then hell yeah, he's the goddamn man. The tortoise wins the race. Yeah, I wish that he wasn't so bad in so many first halves. This needs to stop. It's very frustrating. We're looking for consistency. He is 22 years old. There are some fundamental issues. I think a lot of it is solved if he just passed the ball a little bit more. Because I think the bad shots that lead to the fast breaks are a result of just not making that initial pass. And then if he ever got the ball back, you can now attack a defense that's a little bit less loaded up. Like the Knicks take a lot of first action shots. And in a first action shot, if it's not in transition, a defense is loaded up. They know what's coming. They're ready for it. And the first pass out is what loosens a defense. And you can get to the second side. The Knicks don't do it enough, and it really hurts their offense sometimes. And RJ is one of the culprits. And he just needs to make that first pass and try to get the ball back. What do we got next? Best win of the Tibbs era. Holy cow. Simply outstanding, says Forgotten NYC. Thank you, Forgotten NYC, for the contribution. I'm going to push back on that one a little bit because he won a playoff game. So I think that was the best win of the Tibbs era, but maybe the best regular season win of the Tibbs era. That's not crazy. There were some great ones a couple of years ago, but certainly in the conversation. I think that's fair. Yuchin Zhao, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you for the contribution. Ball don't lie, this effing team. I forgot to say that. I don't cuss. It's not in my repertoire. So John is better at that than I am. I appreciate you saying effing for me. Ball don't lie. Was this an instance of ball don't lie? Well, if you don't think that Jalen Brunson fouled Jaylen Brown, then I suppose it is an instance of it. I do think it was a foul. I just thought it didn't need to get called. And I personally like when refs punish dudes for selling out on a foul call like that. Like Jaylen Brown acted like Julius Randle ran into his back when it was Jalen Brunson putting like two fingers on him. So that bothered me. And in that sense, you're right. Ball don't lie. Don't rule word flopping. Thank you so much for that. Who's next? Hannibal Miles. Thank you for the contribution, Hannibal. Refs almost gave them the game with that Tatum BS and won. Knicks wouldn't let it happen. The Tatum and one was a Randall foul, if I remember correctly. I actually didn't have that much of an issue with that and one as much as I did the inconsistency with not calling the and one for Brunson's. Because to me, it was the very same situation, the very same type of play. And in that sense, I agree with you. That was frustrating. And then, the Knicks wouldn't let them. Listen, that's what I mean. And that's why I started my my monologue, as it were, talking about this. Like, there's really hasn't been a moment this season where I thought this team doesn't care or they've let go of the rope. They don't do that. And that's a credit to all the players. I think it's a credit to the coach. I think it's a credit to everyone involved. Like, baseline, it's not always the case. I mean, hell, we saw last year sometimes the Knicks let go of the rope. They won't do it this year. They're going to fight you back. Sometimes they won't shoot well enough to come back in a game, but like they're going to try. And it's a great trait to have. And it's like representative of like what the fan base wants and what we deserve. Like, we don't give up on the team, so the team shouldn't give up on us, right? And they don't. And man, they took some punches tonight. Holy cow, did they take some punches? And the way you could almost see it, certainly the fans are thinking like, here we go again, right? That meme from that video game. There's a reference, Andrew. But they keep coming back. Absolutely. Great comment there. Haitian Ferg. Haitian, what's up? It was great to talk to you last night on the town hall. Great to see you. For all our patrons, we had a town hall last night. Come join our Patreon. It's an awesome opportunity to get a little, some more chances to hang out with us on the playback and on the town halls to talk more informally and have just a great time. So if you're not a patron, become a patron. I encourage you to do so. Haitian Ferg says, we are learning to win these games. Solid win. This is why you don't rest players. You never know. Would have been RJ's fault if not for this win. Let's go Knicks. Yeah, we had a discussion on the town hall last night about resting players, and the Knicks don't rest players. Nor do I think they're really in a position to if we're fighting for every game here to try to stay in this race and stay, try to fight for that 6th seed. They're making a valiant effort of it for sure. Are they learning to win these games? Man, I suppose so. I am a little frustrated with the lack of learning from experiences of the past, being that they've done the same prevent offense all season long and blown leads. So I would like to see that change, but they're learning again, like the resilience to handle their business in overtime there, take the punches and come back. That's definitely a form of learning. And listen, these guys show up and play. Brunson, RJ, Julius, like they're going to play the games. Again, credit to them in a league that doesn't prioritize that anymore. Credit to them for lifting that heavy a load, playing that many minutes, and showing up every night, no matter what. Again, representative of what the fan base is looking for. And I think you got to be proud of that. And as a fan, I think it's awesome. Thanks, Asian. Kevin Danishevsky. What a guy. Kevin says, F yeah. Nice, clean version of the postgame. We beat the best team in the league. There's certainly a lot to talk about, and the late game needs to get better, but so proud of this team. Hey, that's right. Nailed it. Co-sign, Kevin. I think that's the main takeaway here is step for step with the best team in the league tonight. Whether you won or lost this game, step for step. You make some minor adjustments. Man, this team, I can't believe how easy it is for this team to score sometimes. I mean, sometimes they make it look easy. And Andrew, I don't know. Can we get the stats? Is now a decent time for that? I don't know if we're there yet.
Not yet. About 45 in is when the NBA stats site refreshes. That's also when we'll jump into part 2. And I got you. Don't worry.
Perfect. You'll come in when So man, it's just like through 3 quarters, it's so easy for them to score. And I'd never thought it would be this easy for them to score. I'm just being honest. Like coming into the season, I didn't see this as a top 10 offense, and they're just staying there, man. They're scoring the ball. Step for step with the best team in the league. Absolutely, Kevin. It's a great point. Ryan's back. Thanks again, Ryan. In a season of craziness, only one thing remains consistent. The Knicks can't not be on a win-lose streak. That's a double negative, Ryan. It's a double negative. Makes it hard for me to understand, but I think I got your point. Need to get Casual Friday on playback again. I'm sorry I missed the Casual Friday on playback. I'm sorry I missed it. I just had to. I knew I'd just be laughing at those dudes, and I needed to be like focused so I could come on here and say some decently intelligent things, which I hope I'm doing. But it's a streaky team, man. It is a streaky team. The funny thing is though, like I know it's a streaky team. Like in terms of the wins and losses. But again, I don't feel like it's been an inconsistency in terms of like performance or effort. Like some of their losing streaks have been where games like this were losses instead of wins, right? Like the Chicago game, like there are games that they just should have won and then choked it down the stretch where like the Celtics would be saying that tonight they choked it down the stretch. Like, so some of the stuff evens out. I don't feel like it's an inconsistency of effort. I feel like it's just the results have been inconsistent and resulted in these kind of wild swings. But yeah. And this is listen, you beat the Cavs and you beat the Celtics on a back, like so unreal. That's like it's such an impressive 2-game run here. And it's like changed the outlook because again, like I think I've heard John say it on here and I've agreed with him. Kind of praying to get to the All-Star break at 500. It's just like stay above water. You don't have Mitch. The schedule's really tough. And you just bought yourself 2 more wins where you didn't really expect them. Certainly didn't expect 2. And so good on them. Hamdi M. Thank you for the contribution, Hamdi. My wife is a therapist, as is mine. How about that? Cool. I think I'm going to make an appointment. Yeah. Big win. Hashtag finally pulls one out. Yeah. So you should make an appointment. I have informal appointments with my wife all the time for Knicks therapy. She's very. So it's helpful to have a wife who's a therapist if you're a Knicks fan. I can attest. But listen, the team is going to drive you nuts at times. I just think you have to take a step back and have that perspective of like, man, the talent is good, not great. The players, you got to love them though. They give it everything they have. And they are competing at an extremely high level. Again, like how many games have they just gotten blown out this year? Like from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, it almost hasn't happened. I know they got blown out by Atlanta and by Dallas, but both of those games, it really got crazy in the second half. But you go back to last year, there were games they were just never in it. And you just haven't had that this season. They're just competing at a really, really high level, And they deserve these wins because they're playing well enough to earn them. Thanks, Hamdi. Appreciate it. Ja So Focused. Thank you, Ja So Focused, for the contribution. Hashtag let's talk about RJ. He loves to hit a clutch three versus Boston. Yes, he does. Let's talk about RJ, man. I mean, what else is there to say? I want him to redistribute some of his offense, like redistribute it into passing. I'm telling you, that'll change the game for him. It'll change the game for him because he relies so heavily on difficult looks. And if the volume went a little bit down, but his passing went a little bit up, it would be good for him and good for the team. I've been saying that for a long time. And by the way, I do want to say this about RJ, because it wasn't a good game tonight on the scoring perspective. That said, he has been a better scorer this year than he has been. And it's his best scoring year, efficiency-wise, from basically every spot on the floor. So like tonight was a bad night, but I do want to recognize the improvement hasn't been drastic. But you look at his percentage at the rim, you look at his percentage at floater range, you look at his turn, like everything has been improved. So like it is getting better. It's hard to see it night to night, but it is getting better, and I'm happy about that. Like there's growth, and development isn't linear. It doesn't happen on a straight line going. Not everyone's Jason Tatum, where it just like seems to rise every single year. And even Tatum had one down year in the middle there. But like it's getting better. And I just think the next step for RJ Barrett is to be a little bit more willing of a passer because he draws a lot of attention and he gets into that paint. Just make the first kick. Let it come back to you. Thanks, Josh So Focused. Appreciate it. Robert Cross is back. Coach Big Thread Ben. Can you give us that's what Robert calls me. I didn't make that up. That would be a strange thing to do. Robert has called me Big Thread Ben. Can you give us a breakdown of where and how the offense breaks down at end of games? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen. Yeah, I went into it a little bit. It's just like this prevent offense where they're only allowing themselves one action. The more things you do on an offensive possession, the more chances you have to cause a defensive breakdown. You start your offense earlier and run a couple of actions. You get the ball to the second side, just a swing around. You're forcing the defense to move. When you force a defense to move, mistakes happen. They take a bad angle. They forget to switch. But if you're going to run the same thing every time down against a good defense that knows what you're going to do, you're making life so easy for them. There's no guessing. There's no decision making. You can't force a mistake that way. So you're only relying on Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle to make a play out of nothing. And against a set defense as good as the Celtics, that's really hard to do for any NBA player. I don't care who he is. So like, Robert, I would say it's just give yourself more chances to make a play on offense. Start your offense earlier. 5 minutes to go. You can't start your offense at 10 seconds. Start your offense at 18 seconds. Get the ball down the floor and run in action. They run a lot of good stuff, the Knicks, in the first three quarters. Yes, it's a very isolation-heavy offense. Guess what? It should be an isolation-heavy offense because they have Jalen Brunson, who's a really excellent isolation player, and Julius Randle, who, although he's not a great isolation scorer, is very good at drawing attention and making a pass out. And they do create good looks that way. There should be a heavy dose of isolation in this offense, but they also, over the course of a game, run a lot of good stuff. When Emmanuel Quickly's in the game especially, it feels like they run a lot of good stuff. And there's no reason to totally go away from it in the last 5 minutes of a game just because you have a lead. It's nonsensical. You can't milk a lead from 5 minutes to go in the NBA. Offenses are too good. You're making it harder for yourself to score. You have to score points to finish a game because I promise you the other team's going to score. It's too hard to stop teams now. So that's what's got to change. Josso Focus is back. Thank you so much. Total team win. Couldn't win this without a single player. That's a great point, and I agree with you. I know what JR and JB did, but I wouldn't be mad if you gave IQ 3 stars. Oh, no. IQ got an A on my grades with Julius. I think I gave Brunson an A- because I thought Brunson decision-making down the stretch was not ideal. And his defense is always, not as good as you'd like it to be. No, IQ has an argument to be the single star. If he didn't get the time in overtime, so it's not really his fault. Like he was pulled out of the game, which I think was right on offense because I do think they needed JR out there, RJ out there, and I think they needed Grimes out there. I just thought, man, on those defensive possessions, I would have liked to see him in the game. But no, IQ is as worthy of 3 stars as anybody who played tonight, maybe except Randle, who was really exceptional. But like IQ was phenomenal. Man, he went through that stretch in the second quarter where he just made floater after floater, getting in the paint. The rotational defense is always immaculate. Man, I'm telling you, 6th man of the year is not out of reach for this guy. He's got to keep playing like this. He's got to keep outplaying the other 6 men like Malcolm Brogdon and start making a case for yourself. But he's been so good in this role, man. He's been everything you could possibly ask for. So thanks for shouting him out. He deserves it. Greg Moran, thank you so much for the contribution, Greg. Holy moly. Followed up the biggest win of the year with, albeit imperfect, the biggest win of the year. Absolutely love to see it. Give us 2 All-Stars. Yes, followed up the biggest win of the year with the biggest win of the year. Pretty cool stuff. Without your starting center. Should be noted. The Celtics were missing Marcus Smart, which also should be noted. But I would say that both teams were kind of missing their defensive anchors in different ways. And I thought that kind of reflected in how easy it was for both teams to score. Because Marcus Smart is an absolute beast on that end and can switch on to Randle or Brunson, right? Like he gives them so much versatility because he can play up 3 positions. He's so strong and so smart. But man, we were missing Mitch, and like you could see it on the rebounding. You could see it on some of the easy layups that Brown and Tatum got. You felt Mitch's absence for sure. Give us 2 All-Stars. Yeah, look, they're not going to get 2 All-Stars. And I said, I think Randle just made a really good case in this game to kind of put him over the top. If I've said this before, if I had a guess, I would say that neither make it, unfortunately. Especially because the Heat have made a push. So I feel like Butler and Bam might get in, which is going to make it. Harden's made a push. He's been excellent. So I feel like he's for sure getting in now. And the numbers just get really tight unless there are a couple injuries that'll help. I think Randle right now has the edge over Brunson because of the recent stretch. But if I had to guess, unfortunately, I would say that neither gets in, even though I think both probably deserve it. It's just a numbers game. And there are a lot of really good players in the Eastern Conference, which is an excellent conference. So we'll see. I'm not giving up hope, but it is what it is. Just a numbers game. Thanks, Greg. Jesse D. Thank you, Jesse, for the contribution. Best Knicks win since blank. I don't know what else to say about Julius Randle. Outstanding. Best Knick win since Cleveland, I would say. It was an awesome win. What else do you say about Julius Randle? Yeah. At this performance, you couldn't say enough about him. Like I said before, to say that just nobody on that team full of good defensive players could guard him. There was not an answer for him. Because the beautiful thing about Julius Randle on offense, and this is what makes him special, is that he is as strong a player as there is in basketball, but he moves with a quickness that a guy his size should not be able to move with. Like it's a unique blend of athleticism, speed, and strength. Zion is the only comparable person. Zion is even more of a freak in that sense, but Julius can shoot too. Now he can. This year he can. It's like, what do you do with that? So like they tried a bunch of different looks, like and whether if it's Tatum or Brown, Randle goes through those guys. They can't deal with that size. And then if it's Robert Williams or it's Horford, they can't keep up with him. So Randle can either get by him or go to that step back that's become reliable. Sometimes he overdoes it. There were a couple of shots tonight that were like, no, thank you. And Reggie Miller even said, like, you don't need that, right? You don't need that shot. And he gets carried away sometimes, for sure. But nobody can guard the dude. And pretty impressive stuff. All right, thanks, Jesse. David Fuddy. What's up, Fuddy? Another easy Knicks win. RJ makes a couple more memories versus Boston. Yeah, this is a thing. RJ against Boston. I love it. You want to endear yourself to Knicks fans? Do good work against Boston. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, appreciate it. Anthony Sixto. Randle smiling at Jalen after the misses is new meme material. You think Knicks can beat Grizzlies in 5 in the finals? Hashtag let's overreact. Memphis is dealing with their own issues right now. They're actually losing a bunch of games. So they're on a 5-game losing streak, I think. I don't think they're going to be in the finals, the Grizzlies, if you had to ask me. I would take Golden State, believe it or not, Denver, at least over them. That's probably it, though. But those two teams I would take over them. Yeah, Randle smiling at Jalen's pretty cool. It's pretty boss. I love it. He's playing with an attitude and a confidence right now, no question. Busy! What's up, Busy? What's up, Andrew?
No, read Busy's comment because it addresses
Busy,
me.
It was good to hang out with
crew.
you, too. It was good to hang out with Busy as well. Shout out to the casual crew. They are my spirit animals. Trash tips all night. Point out all the stuff I normally say about him. Hashtag statement win.
Much different tone on the casual crew playback. And I then had to be the stand-in and be like, hey, like there's still some good things. There's actually something I want to throw at you. So I guess I just never realized this. So XJ alleges that the Knicks offense, you can't point to where they are in offensive rating because it's not as a result of Tibbs or anything. It's just because Mitch is an elite offensive rebounder, or that they are elite at offensive rebounding. And I didn't realize that the way possessions are calculated, if you get an offensive rebound and score, then like that counts as one possession toward your 100 possessions. So on a possession where they miss, if Mitch or whoever gets the offensive rebound and they score, then as a result, your offensive rating could be misleading. And what Busy has been saying in Discord since he joined, and what XJ was saying tonight, is because they're so low in assist percentage that it's because of the isolation that the offense is being held back, and more ball movement would help. I alleged that if you look at how many open looks they're still getting, they're 5th in the NBA in open threes, and they make the 5th fewest threes of any other team in the NBA. It's very much what's up with the Miami Heat, is how my opinion went. So I now pose this to you. Is it misleading when we go like, yeah, you could criticize Tibbs' offense, but it's still top 10?
No, I don't think it's misleading. I think it's exactly what the offense is in part designed to create those offensive rebounding opportunities. Like, that's part of your offense. That's not independent of or separate and apart from your offense. That is your offense. And that's recognizing that maybe the best skill that any Knick has at anything is Mitchell Robinson's offensive rebounding. And so what do you do about that? So you build an offense, and Fred Katz wrote an article about this, and I encourage anybody to go back and read this article that he wrote. The Knicks know this. They know that floaters in particular produce offensive rebounds, and so they encourage their players to shoot floaters. Because what happens is the big man who's guarding on a pick and roll situation has to come out to the floater because they're good at floaters, especially Jalen Brunson. And then the ball hits the rim soft, and Mitchell Robinson is just waiting for it. That's by design. And that's taking advantage of your personnel. So I push back on that. I think that's not fair. You can't rip on Tibbs for things that are like outside his control and then say that it's not part of the design of the offense to get offensive. It is. It's part of the design of the offense. Like, you could technically space Mitch out and try to clear the lane a little bit and hope for, like, the center has to pay attention to Mitch doing, but they purposely station Mitch there, even though it hurts spacing, because they know that they're not a great shooting team, but what they are is a great offensive rebounding team. And I think that's part of what the design of the offense is. And I think the success they've had is in a large part due to that design. And I think you have to give the coach some credit for that. I also think that at times there isn't enough ball movement.
Mm-hmm.
Tibbs wants to win the possession battle. And he's not wrong about that either. Because again, if you don't feel like you have top tier talent, there are ways you win along the margins. You try to win along the margins. And one of the ways to do that is to win the possession battle. And that means getting offensive rebounds, which we talked about. And it means not turning the ball over. And it is the case that the more you pass the basketball, the more likely it is that you turn the ball over. See the Golden State Warriors, who pass the ball by far more than anybody else and also turn the ball over more than anybody else. It just, as part of it, the ball's flying through the air. That means it can be taken by somebody else, by definition. If one person has it and is dribbling around and is a good ball handler like Jalen Brunson, it's probably not going to be taken away. You're going to get a shot. And so that's important to Tibbs. It's foundational to his offense, always has been, to not turn the basketball over. That's why he gets more. If you watch him on the sideline, nothing ticks him off like a turnover. Nothing ticks him off like when Isaiah Hartenstein gets a rebound at the end of the third quarter and throws it to the Celtics and they hit a three, because that kills a team. Like, that is murder. So I get that. I get all of that. And I don't think he's wrong. And I understand the philosophy. And all of that said, I do think it's fair to say, but you still have to move the ball more.
Mm-hmm.
You still have, like, it's nuanced. It's both, but you still have to move the ball more, especially down the stretch. And I don't think Tibbs tells this team not to pass to open guys on the perimeter. That's on the Knicks. That's on the players. Because you hear Tibbs talk about rim reads all the time. He wants you to get there, and then he wants you to make a decision. And I've put out a couple of threads about this now. The Knicks too often don't make the correct decision. Floaters are good because they create offensive rebounds, but you don't need to take a floater. First available floater. It's going to be my new expression. FAF. The first available floater.
Okay.
They take the first available floater too often. They do it, all of them. RJ, Randle, Quickly, Brunson. They all do it. First action floater. You can get a better shot, and you should work for it, especially if there's an easy pass to be made. Make the freaking pass. So all of that combined, I think there's too much of an emphasis on no turnovers, which means you don't take any passing risks, which means you don't move the ball. I think down the stretch of games, Tibbs intentionally slows things down and only wants to run action. I think that's wrong. I think that's incorrect. But this offense being what it is so far this season is a credit to all the players and also a credit to the coach, because he's designed an offense that absolutely accentuates the talents that they have. He deserves credit for that. If you can't give him credit for that, you're not being objective. He deserves credit for that. There's things he needs to work on. He probably won't work on them because he's stubborn, and he needs to be criticized for that as well. But, like, let's just be reasonable about it. Let's be reasonable about it. He's a flawed coach, but he's absolutely designed an offense that fits this team and has succeeded so far. I just like it to continue to the end of games. Run the same stuff that you run and run it earlier at the end of games.
Extremely well said.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah,
I try.
I kind of tapped out and just let you cook for a minute. It was like the way Tibbs calls for Jalen Brunson. It was you being Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle, and RJ sat in the corner.
Well, there were So I hogged the ball there a bit, and I apologize. It's like when Brunson it's like
you
when
had
Brunson,
it cooking. It's okay.
Brunson, was that possession in the fourth quarter overtime where he just dribbled in a circle for 24 seconds?
That was the end of the fourth. Yeah, there was multiple possessions at the end of the fourth that were bad.
You can't have that stuff, guys. Come on, you can't have that stuff. Run something. Jeez. All right, that's my answer. What's up?
With you saying all of that, let's go to the stats update because they are officially updated.
Let's do it.
The Knicks are now 9th in offensive rating. With that information what you will. They're still 9th, I should say, in offensive rating. They've been hovering around 6th. They're 0.4 away from Brooklyn, who is 6th, 0.5 away from Philadelphia, who is 5th. So do with that information what it will for your narrative. In defensive rating, they're down to 15th. Now, defensive rating is a little misleading because from the Lakers at 20 to the Timberwolves at 13. There's 1 point separating all of them. So like the Knicks are hovering around 113.1 per 100 possessions. I think some of that's going to have to do that they're not top 10 anymore because Mitchell Robinson's not there.
Yeah.
But then you get to their net rating. They are still 9th in the NBA in net rating. And this is NBA.com, by the way, not cleaning the glass. So this is not factoring out garbage time. I would argue the Knicks don't play a ton of garbage time. So this is very close to what their net rating would probably be. And as far as record goes, the Knicks have the 9th best record in the NBA as well.
Put it all together, they sound like the 9th best team in the league.
I'd say so.
Yeah. And like, I'm sorry, but you take a step back, and if you're honest with yourself and you say, what did you expect going into the year? I didn't expect them to be the 9th best team in the league.
I didn't.
And like, they're playing really well. They've been playing really good basketball all year long, with the exception of very few games where they really didn't play well at all. And again, I have my issues with Tom Thibodeau. And there's a whole different discussion to be had. Let's say that there's a whole different discussion to be had about, like, philosophically, if the Knicks are doing the right thing, trying to maximize every win, as opposed to development or prioritizing development. Guys like Obi get squeezed out and all the other stuff that goes on. And that's a fair discussion to have. That's not the one we're having right now, because I think what the discussion we're having right now is Tibbs doing the right things to win basketball games? And I think overall the answer has to be yes right now. Not to say that it's perfect, but like overall the answer has to be yes right now. I don't know how it's not. What coach is in there like that you think they'd be 7-8 games over 500? Like, what are we talking about? If we're being really honest. And I have so many issues with some of the things he does, like Cam being banished and the way it's either you're in the rotation or you can't ever get in. You might as well sit in the freaking locker room on the toilet because you're never getting in the game. Like, I have an issue with that. Like, again, I am not like, he's above criticism. He's not. And I criticize him all the time. I mean, just follow me on Twitter to know I criticize dude all the time. I just think if you're being objective about where they are right now and how they played, I would be lying to myself if I said some other coach comes in and they'd be 10 games over 500. I mean, that's crazy. They're not that good. They're good. They have talent, but like, let's be reasonable about it. Anyway, let's move on to the next subject.
No, I appreciate you getting all that out. I think it's extremely well said. And, thankfully they won tonight, because then there would be a much different vibes on the post game.
Oh man, listen, just for my debut, it needed to be good vibes. I was thinking that.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Busy, for the question. Harry Donert, thank you for the conversation. Harry, best Knicks win since the 2012-2013 season. Guys, they won a playoff game. They won a playoff game 2 years ago. I will not put a regular season win over a game 2 win over the Hawks when I felt like they could actually win the series. They almost won game 1. They won game 2. So I'm not going to get that carried away. Regular season win? That's fair. There was some really good. I mean, the Cleveland win this year was great. The Boston win last year, both Boston wins last year were amazing.
Can I help here?
Please.
So this is where we have to remember the We Here season and how many great wins like this where they came away.
I'm gonna say New Orleans is one.
New Orleans is one. There's a Memphis game that's a big one. There's a Dallas
RJ finished over John Morant down the stretch. I remember that very vividly.
The both Memphis wins. The one in Memphis where they got a bunch of technicals and Ja got tossed, and the first one started the winning streak where this hoodie became legendary.
Yes.
And RJ hit 3 free throws and then a layup, like you said, and in overtime.
That's true.
Yeah. So there's so many from the We Here season. Having said that, this is up there. And this, as it's playing out, will probably require, like, when you go to the best win since blank, you have to give it some time. Because we would have said the opening night win last year was the best win since blank. And then it turned out to just be like a random win in a lost season.
Right.
Same thing for the RJ Barrett.
I do think there weren't full crowds then, right? 2 years ago?
No, 2 years ago was the empty gyms to then partial crowds to then in the playoffs.
So like there is something to like in Boston Garden.
Oh yeah,
a full crowd as like a best win. Like when you talk about best win, like if winning in Boston like that on national television, it's up there, man.
Did you catch any of the pregame?
I heard that. I saw tweets about it. And
so it's funny is we got on early enough to see it. We got on early enough to see Shaq and Charles roasting the Knicks, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Like Shaq called Julius Randle Zach Randolph.
He called it that.
Yeah,
Julius Randolph, or he called him Zach
Julius
Randolph?
or whatever. He called him Randolph, and it's like, what are we doing here?
Last night Tuesday night he admitted that he only knows the top 10 players. He doesn't know anybody else's name.
Right.
So he didn't know who Rui Hachimura was. Look, I don't want to dwell on this, but
so I think the point you're going to make is that they're entertaining when they're not talking about your team.
You watch Inside the NBA as you watch The Late Show with Conan O'Brien or whoever, Jimmy Fallon or whoever you watch it with. Like, that's why you watch Inside the NBA, because it's entertaining. You love those guys. They're funny. They run to the screen. They push each other into trees. Snow falls on Shaq's head. Like it's a variety show.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with basketball.
Yeah.
Kenny Smith gets up there and like there are 700 people on Twitter who could break down a play better than Kenny Smith does on the big screen. It has nothing to do with basketball. I laugh at them. I think they're funny.
One of those people is hosting the Knicks Film School postgame show tonight. So
there are 5 people at Knicks Film School who could break down a play better than Kenny Smith. But yes, I agree on one of them. I'm going to take that. I
say take the compliment. There you go.
Rui Hachimura. Yeah, Rui Hachimura, they called him.
Exactly.
All right. Robert Cross is back. Oh, I know this one. Is it fair and reasonable to say, I farts, that the Knicks are a dark horse for the Eastern Conference Finals? If so, why do you think so? 53 wins. No, I don't. Well, they are a dark horse. They're very dark. They're such a dark horse you can't even see them. If that's what you mean, Robert. But hey, that's not. We could all measure the successful seasons differently. I think so far it's been a successful season, and I just want it to continue to be. Thanks, Robert. Dylan Chop Charles. Yo, J-Mac, I'm back. Oh, Dylan didn't get the memo. It's awkward. Sorry, Dylan. Oh, I should say Dillian. Sorry. I didn't see the extra I there. It's not J-Mac. It's Ben. It's me, Ben. But I will answer your question. On tonight's forgotten play at 3:10 in the third quarter, Randall dunks on JT. Whoops. And the following play, JB crosses up Williams and fades for a 2. Both all-stars in my eyes. What a game. Yes. Well, it wasn't forgotten because I did bring it up earlier when we were talking about the 3 top plays was Randall's dunk, but you are right. You are right that Jalen Brunson's move on Rob Williams to step back 2 was dirty. And Brunson had another move that I don't think he made the shot. Maybe he got called for a foul or they got the offensive rebound. I can't quite remember now. Hartenstein got the tip in. Brunson had a in and out dribble on Jaylen Brown that sent Jaylen Brown into another zip code, man. It was such a sick move. Unfortunately, he missed a floater, but there was iHeart because guess what? Floaters produce offensive rebounds. And that was an example of one. Thanks, Dylan. Great plays to call out because those were 2 awesome ones. Thanks. Stephen B. Gualme. Thank you for the contribution, the generous contribution. Easily the best W of the season. Feel better, Macri. Yes, feel better, Jonathan Macri. We love you. We want you to feel well. And you'll be back here in no time, crushing it as you always do. And yes, easily the best W of the season. I don't think there's any question about that. Thank you. Nicholas Sang. Thank you for the contribution. I want to get a picture of that Obi step back 3. Oh, we forgot about the Obi step back 3. Thank you for that. That's a good reminder. Tattooed on the inside of my eyelids. Great game. The late game collapses are bad, but I'm glad they're learning how to overcome them. Absolutely. Small steps. You win this game. W is a W. Obi Toppin, I thought, played very well tonight. You know, it was interesting. It was interesting to me that he got 10 minutes in the first half. Let me see. He finished with 16. So he got 16. He got 6 minutes in the second half. He was plus 19 in this game. Hello. Best on the team. The Knicks beat the Celtics by 19 when Obi Toppin was in the game, guys. I thought he played really well on both ends. I thought he made some good defensive plays. That step back 3 was beautiful. And what set it up was such a lovely play by Emmanuel Quickly, who's developing a nice chemistry now with his centers and High Hard in particular. He faked the step back. He pump faked it. Guy jumped. Quick give and go with his big. Got it back. Defense collapsed. Kick to the corner to Obi. Pump faked the first guy out of his shoes and knocked down the 3. Obi's playing really good basketball. It's hard to do it in the amount of time that he's doing it. It's hard to be that effective in 10 to 15 minutes a game. It's unfortunate that that's the situation, but it is the situation. And good on him to come back and start making that impact again. Like, really good on him, because I could see him sulking now. I could see him wanting to get the hell out of here. And he's making an impact now in a very short amount of time, in a short stints. It was weird that he played 10 first half minutes, especially because Julius was playing so great. Not that I'm upset about it. I'm not. I don't mind that at all, but it was just interesting. I think he got stuck at the scorers table there for about a 2-minute stretch because the game just kept going on. But yes, thank you for reminding me of that Obi step back. That was pretty sweet. MK21. Benji Stream. You do a great job, bro. LFG NYK. Let's keep it on the abbreviation, the acronyms. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying my best out here. This is the big time, guys. I made it. This is fun. Thanks, MK. Appreciate the contribution. Dan Hidalgo. Thank you, sir, for the contribution. The basketball gods owed us this one from Dallas. Not just Dallas, Dan. Dallas, Chicago. What else? There are a couple other ones that I'm missing right now that I can't think of. There have been enough games where we could have pulled it out and we didn't. So we definitely were owed one. Portland. We were definitely owed one, and we got it tonight. Thanks, Dan. Sheldon Gomes. One Deuce McBride non-box score impact game alert. Thank you for shouting out Deuce. Thank you for shouting out Deuce, because I don't think I mentioned him yet. And that's just a function of, like, there's a lot to talk about, and, like, Deuce gets the least time on this team. He played 13 minutes plus 11 in those minutes. His defense tonight was so good. So tough and good. And as I said, where did I say it? I don't know where I said it. Wherever I said it. There have been small improvements in Deuce's offensive game. He still can't make a damn shot. It's frustrating. I think it'll come because I think he can shoot. But his forays into the paint right now, catch and go, drawing fouls, making the next pass, that's stuff that he wasn't doing when he first got here. And it's really good to see. That's what, look, he had 3 steals tonight, Deuce. 3 steals. Awesome. Like, development is sometimes hard. You see it with RJ right now with the ups and downs. Depending on the player and the level of talent, like with Deuce, there's a lot to work on. But you keep playing the guy, and if you believe in him and you give him some opportunity, development happens. It just does. And it might be small and it might be incremental, but what you're seeing with Deuce McBride is slowly gaining confidence of getting into the paint and making a play. And you love to see that. And when he brings that defense like he did tonight, and it hasn't been always great, his defense. I do want to say that. It hasn't been constantly great. Sometimes he gets exposed because of his size. Didn't tonight. Tonight he was everywhere. And you love to see that. So thank you for shouting out Deuce McBride. Absolutely a non-box score impact. That's a great comment, Sheldon. Thank you. Busy's back. 2 down, 1 to go on my prediction. Hashtag statement win. Hashtag be the best. Hashtag the week that gets us to All-Stars. I assume, Busy, and I'm sorry if I missed this last night, that you predicted that we'd win all 3 games this week?
That he did.
Aha. Okay. Well, Saturday we have
Brooklyn off a losing streak without KD. Off a loss to Detroit. Yeah, losing streak. They lost to Philly last night.
It's winnable. It's winnable. It's winnable. Brooklyn's still good. They do a lot of things well. Double
checking that they don't have a game before then.
Kyrie is playing at a really high level. Winnable game. Busy? Hey, if you predict this 3-0, you should gamble more, my friend. Actually, don't, but maybe you should. Maybe you should.
Listen, I
don't want to encourage such behavior.
It's legal, and if you go within your limit and do it responsibly.
Amen to that. Amen. Yeah. I just want you to have the money to be able to come on here and contribute and make some great comments that you're making. So don't lose it all. But hey, man, you're on a good run. Look, if they go 3-0, Busy, you'll be the first one I go to congratulate.
Yeah, and shout out to our friends at any sportsbook that wants to jump on the Knicks Film School sponsorship train in the future. We encourage sports gambling. That wasn't a knock. I was literally just trying to go for the joke there. We're open for business, potential sportsbook in the future.
Absolutely. All right, Frank Sound. Let's go Knicks. Benji, thanks for the film stuff, man. It's my pleasure. I love to do it. I do it because people seem to like it. And I hope that I'm able to teach some stuff to people or provide a perspective and an interest in the game that I very much love a lot. And that's why I do it. So I'm glad you're enjoying. Thank you for supporting my work. And thanks to Knicks Film School for the opportunity to present that work on a pretty, on a larger platform than I ever thought I'd be able to do it. So I appreciate it, Frank. Thank you. TK. Thank you for the contribution, TK. Wins against Boston are extra special. Damn right. I don't care how bad RJ was the first 48 minutes. I always believe in his clutch ability in all caps. Randle was a beast. He is an all-star. Look, cosign. All 3 points. Wins against Boston are extra special. Check. I don't cosign. I don't care how bad RJ was in the first 48 minutes. I do care. So I'm going to push back on that one. But I always believe in his clutch ability. I do. He's made a lot of big shots for the Knicks in 4 years. There weren't many big shots to be had as a rookie, but in the last 3 years. Randle was a beast. Absolute beast. Just a beast. Just miserable to try to guard that guy because you're going to get hurt. So beast is the right word. Thanks, TK. Vincent Russo. Benji, you're the best, bro. Thank you. You're the best, Vincent. What a game. Randle's so dominant at times. I hope he keeps it together. Him plus a star, we could make noise, right? It's an interesting question, Vincent. What kind of noise? Man, I have to see it. I have to see it for a stretch here. I have to see this year. Honestly, maybe I have to see next year. Like I have to see Julius be good for 2 years in a row to fully believe that he is a consistent star that you can build around. I still have my doubts as well as he is playing right now. And I only have praise for him. I haven't criticized him once tonight. Because he doesn't deserve any criticism. But I have my concerns. I do have my concerns with him as a building block and as a playoff piece and all of that. But hey, you add a star to this team that's better than Randle. Yeah, man. They have all the pieces. The funny thing about this roster is they have all the supporting pieces that you want. Other than the big wing, like the theoretical Cam Reddish piece that they're missing. But otherwise, like they're a star away from being like a true star away from being a potential Eastern Conference Finals team. Absolutely. You add someone better than Randle to this very roster with the role players they have in IQ and in Grimes and in Brunson, who's a borderline all-star, not really a role player. He's better than that. And you add, and if you continue to internally develop RJ Barrett, and you just added a star without giving any of that up, yeah, you'd make some noise. Absolutely. Thanks, Vincent. Austin Z. Thank you, Austin, for the contribution. Unbelievably hype. Yeah, me too, man. Down the stretch of regulation, you see the value of a top 10 player when everything goes to ISO. Still got to find a way to get better looks. Yes. Yes, you do. But again, there are ways to get into your isolations that are more effective than how the Knicks are getting into their isolations. I believe that strongly. The Knicks do have Brunson's a really good isolation player. He's a top tier isolation player. Now he's not, say, Jason Tatum. Like, man, one thing we haven't even talked about yet. Tatum missed a really good look on a really nice step back to win the game at regulation at the buzzer. Well, I guess they got the offensive rebound and then got blocked, but that's, the ability to create that shot, that clean of a look in an isolation setting, which is what he did, is unique to the best players in the league. You're right on that, Austin. And Tatum showed it there. He missed that shot, which is a very makeable shot for him. But I still think there are ways, and I think even the Celtics get into their isolations in a better way than the Knicks do. And even though they have better isolation players, they have Jason Tatum and they have Jaylen Brown. And I still think they run better stuff. Think about the play that got Jaylen Brown the ISO. They ran an inbounds play, cleared the rest of the floor to get Brown the ball one-on-one on RJ in the corner with space. That's intelligence. That's getting an isolation in a favorable spot on the floor. That's what the Knicks need to do more of. That's what Tibbs needs to draw up more of. Like, that's where I think the criticism is legitimate. Like, you have to come up with a bit more creativity, even if it's going to end in isolation. Let there be more creative and effective and well-positioned isolations. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. But thanks, Austin. It's a great comment. Josh So Focused, thank you for coming back again. Since John not here, I'll say it. Y'all better not say a thing about Tibbs tonight. Not many coaches that would have won this game. We've already had the conversation, John. I don't know when this was written, but sorry. I mean, I think overall, look, I as I said, I think you have to overall, if you're being honest and objective about it, be pretty positive about where the team is, and I think the coach gets credit for that. And I think that's the main point to be made. And I think there are fair criticisms to be made as well. And I think I've already made them. Thanks, John. A.E. Kennedy, thank you for the contribution. If Randle isn't... Oh, I lost it. There it is. If Randle isn't an all-star, it's straight Knicks hate. Who is stopping that man other than himself? I don't think it's straight Knicks hate. I don't believe that. I think it's a really good conference with a lot of excellent ball players. It has nothing to do with Knicks hate. And I will say that Randle, who's been amazing, the first month of the season was not. And I think that's also important when you talk about All-Star. And so, that said, here's the best argument for Julius Randle. He plays every game and he plays every minute. And a lot of the guys that will probably make it over him, unfortunately, have not played a lot of games. Jimmy Butler, James Harden, Kyrie. Kyrie is already in as a fan vote. So like that's a shame because you wish that they'd award, especially with the NBA dealing with the issue of player rest, it being a hot topic issue right now. You do wish that they'd award games played, and Julius has not missed a game, and I think that's really awesome and huge. But I wouldn't go as far as to say it's Knicks hate. I think it's a really good conference with a lot of really good high pedigree basketball players. But thanks, A. I understand the sentiment nonetheless. TK is back. Thanks, TK. Regardless if this team goes into the postseason fully healthy, we will go down swinging against the best of them. I'm very confident of that. Hey, man, would I love to see this team in a playoff series. I would love to see it. It would just be so exciting, and I think the fans deserve it. And it makes, look, the mediocrity, it makes the mediocrity palatable. If you try to be mediocre and you don't get the reward at the end of a playoff series, it really sucks because that's really where you don't want to be as a franchise. Like if they lose in the play, I'll be excited to watch a play-in game too. But if they like lose the first play-in game and that's it, man, it's hard to feel like you did the most with the season you could have. It's almost like, well, what was this all for? You really want to see this team get in the playoffs. That would be awesome. And here's where I agree with you, TK. Look, the one thing I said about the Knicks since they got Brunson, they're hell to deal with, man. Because you have three dudes in RJ, in Randle, and in Brunson who are so strong and are just going to drive down your throat over and over again into your body. Like, that hurts. It hurts to play the Knicks. They're strong and they're relentless. And teams don't want to deal with that on a night-to-night basis. So I agree with you there. They'll go down swinging because they give a ton of effort and they're annoying as hell to play against. And so it would be great to see. I hope we get to see it. Thanks, TK. Busy's back. Thanks, Busy. Since you want to talk about IQ, how about him QB in the defense? Somewhere in between 7-8 minutes, he points away from JB, forcing ball handlers away from him, so offense goes away from him. He points away from JB, so I assume that's Jaylen Brown. Forcing ball handler away from him, so offense goes away from him. I don't know the exact play you're talking about, Busy. If you want to DM me a clip, I'd love to see what you're talking about. But what I can respond to your comment with is, yes, he QBs the defense because he is so darn smart on the defensive end. He knows what he wants to do. It's hard for perimeter defensive players to dictate the action. And just from how smart he is and how quickly he moves and rotates, he actually dictates actions and where the next pass is going to go. That's how good he is on defense. And he's improved as an on-ball defender too. Like this guy, he is such a good... I don't think it's crazy to say that one day, I don't think it'll be this year just based on minutes and like, I don't know if he's in the conversation enough yet. I don't think it's crazy to think of him as an all-defense possibility one day. That's how good he is on that end. Thanks, Busy. Josh, so focused. Oh, we're still at the Andrew, we're still at the intro comments. All right, gotta move these. What a happy intro. Thanks, Ja. I tried to. I mean, what's not to be happy about? It's an awesome win. It's an awesome win. And a lot to be proud of and happy about with this team right now. Thanks, Ja. Dom Cappuccini. Thank you for the contribution. Unfortunately, Fubo kept me away from the Knicks. No TNT. So I take it. # we back again. I hope, I pray. LOL. Yeah. I'm sorry that you didn't get to watch this game. That's a bummer. That's a real bummer. And Fubo stinks. And I'm mad at them. But I would recommend NBA.com puts out a great highlight package. It's on YouTube. It gives you a lot of the game. And follow Knicks Film School, and you'll get a lot of takeaways and reactions and film from us. So that's how you'll catch up. But yeah, it's an awesome win. We back. Absolutely, we back. Randall's back. We back. It's all good. Thanks, Dom. Kevin Danishevsky's back. Thank you for making the IQ 6 Man of the Year case. In my opinion, he won't win, but he'll deserve it. Great plays by RJ at the end, but I still think I'd rather OG on the team than him. Oh, Kevin. You're welcome for making the IQ 6 Man of the Year case. If he keeps this up, I think he'll get in the conversation. He just has to keep it up. Great plays by RJ at the end for sure. You'd rather OG on this team than RJ. In terms of the role that each player would play, I think I agree. Just based on the fit with Randall and with Brunson. However, I'm a little lower on OG than maybe consensus. I don't see like a borderline all-star anywhere in that player. And I still believe in RJ's ceiling as a borderline all-star. And so I don't want to give up on RJ for OG, like straight up. Like, I don't think that's the direction this team should go. I hear what you're saying just from a fit perspective. Although I think OG probably wants to do more than he's doing right now in Toronto, and I don't really want him to. So who knows what OG you get here in New York. So I get the comment. I agree on a fit perspective because that defense, they need a defensive stopper, a big defensive wing stopper, which OG is and RJ is not. And in terms of just like a fit catch and shoot kind of guy instead of RJ who needs the ball a little bit more and is forcing it a little bit and all that, I agree. But I still believe in RJ. I don't want to give up on that player yet for a guy like OG. Thanks, Kevin. Jim Simonetti. Thank you, Jim. Macri hiding after his RJ tweet. All right, so look, man, I think I said that was a brutal RJ stint, and it was. And even I got some flack for that, which whatever, I can deal with it. I'm just honest, you know. Macri gets a little bit more dramatic about it, and man, did he take some flack on the Twitter. Boy, he wasn't feeling well before. Imagine how he felt after that. You guys should, it's probably not you guys, but people should take it easy on John. John's awesome at this, and he's really smart, and he's most of the time just trolling too. What's that face?
What do you mean take it easy on John? No.
He's not feeling well.
Fine, turn your phone off. He should wake up to every single notification just saying # why do you hate RJ Barrett? Just clip the final couple minutes.
Man,
of
some
game.
of those quote tweets were brutal. I went through the QTs, which I shouldn't have. I hope John didn't.
I hope he didn't too. Listen. Two things can be true. He is brilliant at this, and like he's a good person. Like he's somewhat respectful about it. Also,
yeah, he took it to a place.
He may need to mute that thread if he wants to avoid the venom.
He took it to a place, and he didn't need to take it to that place. But it's all good. It's all good.
My read of it is you gotta understand, since this man was drafted, RJ Barrett, we have been told he is the prince that was promised. He is.
I know
him, and John was one of the first publicly to be like, "There's some some efficiency issues I got questions about that.
Yeah.
I don't see him being a number one option on a good team. Then it was a number two option on a good team. And then anytime he brings up a comp, it's like, you're stupid. Why do you hate RJ Barrett? Which is where that joke came from. So this is him playing along. But tonight, RJ gets the last laugh, and we all get to do it with RJ at Jonathan Macker's expense.
Let me give you a parable.
Oh,
this is what RJ Barrett is.
Okay.
I have a son who's 4.5 years old. When you have a firstborn son, you have certain expectations of what that's going to be and what that relationship's going to be. And when that son, God, I should preface this. I love my son more than anything in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they're people on their own, and they have their idiosyncrasies and things you just didn't expect, complications in your relationship that you didn't expect. They like certain things that you thought, they don't like things that you thought they'd like, or they like things that you don't like. And there's a disappointment, even though they didn't do anything wrong. It's just who they are. But it's like, it's your firstborn son, and you had dreams of what it would be like. You'd just be like frolicking in the fields and having catches every day. But it's not like that. Sometimes they call you a poopy head, and you end up having to put them in their room. This is Knicks fans with RJ Barrett. Like, he's the firstborn son. He's the third pick. He was the great hope. And you had certain expectations and a dream of what that relationship would be. And that dream was, this man is going to be an all-star by his third year, and he's going to rise into stardom, and he's going to be the person to bring us to a place we haven't been in a very, very long time. And there's a disappointment that comes with a development arc that hasn't quite gone that way. And it's been slower and a bit painful and up and down. And there are complications and idiosyncrasies and unique elements to him. And they're disappointing. They are. Mm-hmm. And you feel it in a way you wouldn't feel it about somebody who's not your firstborn son or the third pick. And that's what I think it is. And that's what I mean, not just for John. I think for a lot of people who are so disappointed sometimes by him, it's almost an unfair curve because of the expectations were so high and the dreams that we had for this guy. And sometimes it's not fair. I think sometimes it is fair. And I think on the other side of that, we can get a bit, have our head in the sand about his flaws. And I don't think that's the right approach either. But I do think there's a balance to be struck, like in anything else. And he's unique in that sense, and that he was the guy that was supposed to just rise before us and take us there, you know?
John just texted me. I guess it's a good thing I haven't checked my mentions. So keep him coming, folks. He's not even checking them. Don't worry about it. Yes, I feel sorry for you. I don't even know who you are. That's exactly how that's going. Excellent parable, by the way.
Thank you. Angie. Yeah, listen, it's personal, but it is what it is. Yeah, so Macri is hiding. The answer is apparently, Jim, that Macri is in fact hiding.
You called it, Jim. You called it. Hey.
All right, thanks, Jim. I appreciate the contribution. Lucas, Randle is the version you would get if you tried to buy LeBron off Wish.
This is a tremendous comment.
Up those Knickies, best win of the season. Yeah, I got nothing to add. Lucas,
who was it? Someone said it a couple of years ago about Alec Burks.
Alec Burks, 77% loading.
Yeah, I think it was Terry and Trey that it was like someone was trying to upload a superstar and he got paused on 73% or 77%, and then they just unplugged it and put the player into the NBA.
It's so good, man.
That's Julius Randle. They tried to recreate LeBron James, got to about 75%, just unplugged it and said, "Fine, he's done." And now we got Julius Randle.
That's amazing, Lucas. That's a comment of the night right there. I know John likes to put a comment of the night. There it is, Lucas. You win. Well done. All right, what do you got? Red Sarachek. Oh, okay. So John, Red Sarachek has started commenting recently, I think. You guys should know that Red Sarachek is a legendary figure in the history of New York sports. He was the head coach of the Yeshiva, the first head coach of the Yeshiva Maccabees, my alma mater, the team that I played for. But he was a legendary figure in all of New York sports. He was close friends with the coach of St. John's at the time. He developed a lot of basketball principles that we still hold by today in terms of offensive movement. Brilliant basketball mind. There's a tournament that's played, a high school tournament that's played every year after that's named after him, the Sarachek tournament. Red Sarachek is a legend. So this person that's commenting, his name is not Red Sarachek, but he's paying tribute to Red Sarachek. And I appreciate that, Red. Sarachek. I appreciate you paying tribute to the great Red Sarachek. All right. Thank you for your contribution. Not many like Jules, who plays every game and scores. In today's world of Load Manny, I like that abbreviation, Load Manny. It's a rare breed. Love Hector Zeroni staying in through it all. Nope. Don't know what that means. Andrew, any help?
Hector Zeroni.
No. All right. Well, I knew Red
Google
Sarachek.
back. I'm gonna Google that and be back with you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, can't help you with the Hector Zeroni reference, but yes. As I mentioned already, you're 100% right. You got to give props to a guy who plays every day, and just for that purpose, I hope he makes the All-Star team. Because again, the league needs to incentivize guys who play every night. Because this league, their biggest problem right now is that dudes play every other night, and it's not okay. So for that reason alone, I hope Julius makes the All-Star team. Thanks, Red.
I'm back. So
Hector Zeroni.
Remember the movie? We referenced it the other night. The movie Holes.
Yes.
With Shia LaBeouf.
I love Holes. I read the book.
I forget the kid's
Louis
name.
Louis Sachar.
Zero.
The book. Yes, Zero. Uh-huh.
Zero. His real life name is Hector Zeroni.
Ah, so he's Sims.
Jericho Sims is Hector Zeroni.
It's a great call. Zero does look like Jericho Sims.
Mm-hmm.
Though I will say that it was a great book first. Holes is an adapted screenplay. The book by Louis Sachar is his name, I think. Great author, great book, great movie. And Jericho Sims does look a whole lot like Hector Zeroni. So
that he does. I know he got a lot of the Corbin Blue stuff from High School Musical too.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
His facial expressions, man, that guy, he always looks so disappointed in himself. He needs to smile more. Like
that might also be his happy. Like
he doesn't have. Yeah, he's like the most stoic person I've ever seen in my entire life. And I talk about. Yeah, I talked about since the beginning. I really thought he grew into that game in a very impressive manner. And talk about development. That's a really hard offense to guard for a center. And I thought he did great. He
did have one possession in overtime where Brunson handed it off to him, or got it down low to him, and then he got flustered and just threw it to nobody.
Yes, that did happen.
This is where I'll recommend people watching the playback, because our reaction was just like, this is it? Like, we're just throwing it to nobody now? That's the play?
Yeah. That was rough. But he also had a sick offensive rebound and dunk late in that game.
He did.
Good job by Jericho. I thought it was a good performance. Thanks, Red. Who's next? Exhibition continues. Thank you for your contribution. Exhibition continues. Julius Randle with two separate bodies. Hell yeah. One going left, one going right. Both with the left hand, obviously. Randolph, who? Yeah, that was not great by TNT. You got to do better than that. And I love that show, and I think it's a classic show, but it's a variety show. It's like watching a late night show. It's not basketball. When he's not spinning blindly into doubles, he's a monster. Shout out Ben and KFS. Shout out KFS as well. Thank you for the shout out to me personally. The KFS is awesome. We're doing really good stuff. You guys should be checking out the pre-games from DJ Zulo. What great preparatory material for things to look out for. He breaks down the previous time the team has met. He breaks down what the team's been doing, the opponent's been doing recently, how they've been doing. It's just a great way to go into a game with like a bit of an education and what to look for. It enhances your experience of watching a game when you're like a little prepared. And so he's doing amazing stuff. The guys on Casual Friday are hilarious. Listen to them. The pregame shows that Andrew's doing now. Again, talk about preparation. Like, to be able to hear from an expert on the other team before you play a team is like so valuable to watching the game, because you just know what to look for. It just changes the way you watch. So we got it all covered, man. We're doing great work. So shout out to KFS indeed. But yes, he is not, when he's not spinning blindly into doubles, he is a monster. His decision-making, perhaps the biggest difference between this year and last year, is just quicker decision-making. It's just quicker decision-making. Whether to shoot or whether to drive, and that's it. And you got to love that from RJ, from Randall. Thanks, Exhibition. Red's back. Law offices of Grimes, Quickly, and McBride, Esquire on D gives me the giggles. Wow, that's quite a sentence. Deuce should have a key to any gym in the city and can shoot threes any time of the day. Man, what do you mean? Deuce has a key to Westchester, and when he walks into that gym, he makes every three. Yeah, he's got to make shots. And by the way, Quentin Grimes needs to make shots. Quentin Grimes had looks that would have won this game tonight in regulation. I think it's hard sometimes when you catch the ball with 1 second left to make those shots, but nonetheless, I need this guy. This guy needs to be a great 3-point shooter. I'm waiting because I think it's coming. I'm waiting for the Grimes 3-point explosion. Like, I feel like it's coming, but right now he must be down to like 35, 34%. And I want him to be closer to 40. I think he should be. So I'm waiting on that. But yeah, Deuce, we're hoping he's going to make some shots. I think he will. Thanks, Red. Busy's back. GMAC, this is for you. Get out here and defend top 10 offense after XJ schooled you on how offensive rebounding helps their numbers.
This is what I mentioned earlier, and how this is what I was fighting in the playback at times. And yet I had to just kind of sit back and watch the crunch time offense and be like, they could use some ball movement right now.
They sure could.
Yeah.
They sure could. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that at all. It needs to be better. I don't agree with this idea that offensive rebounding is somehow separate and apart from offense. It's very much part of offense. Let's put it this, is defensive rebounding separate from defense?
No.
I think we basically consider that as part of defense. You got to finish the possession. Same thing. All right. Thanks, Busy.
He's got more for you. Don't worry.
I am sure
they're on the way. They're on the way. There you go.
Fargo Tufo. What's up, Fargo? Hello from the land of enchantment. Always wanted to say that. Welcome to the postgame, Ben. Thank you. I value your insight. Thank you for that, too. New York Knicks play hard every game except the KFS game. That's right. I blanked that one out. I blocked it from my memory bank. Easy to root for. Love the grit. I will say about that game, though, it's not as crazy as we once thought it was that they gave up that many points to OKC. Because guess what? OKC can freaking score. They put up a lot of points on a lot of people recently. And so it maybe makes a little bit more sense. But that game was rough. That was maybe one of the 2 or 3 games this year where you felt like they just didn't really give the requisite effort. But they do play hard every game otherwise. And you give them credit for that. Thanks, Fargo. Dominic Manzi. Julius Randle is better than Melo.
We're just getting amnesia tonight? Is that what's happening?
No. He's not.
Julius Randle starting the All-Star game or borderline making the All-Star game?
He's not the offensive player that Melo was. He's just
Julius Randle finishing 3rd in MVP or lucky to finish top 10 in MVP?
Melo is one of the most natural scorers that the game has really ever seen. Did he always make the best decisions on offense similar to Julius? No. But we're talking about one of the most natural shot makers the game has ever seen. So I will not go that far. He is not better than Melo. In fact, and Melo was good every year.
No years off. Exactly.
Julius is good every other year.
Yeah.
Thanks, though, Dominic.
Thank you, Dominic. I respectfully disagree.
Yes, we both respectfully disagree. Kevin Nolan. What does GM and GMAC for stands for general manager? Because AC is our general manager. That's what he is. Also, were you surprised the Celtics did not double trap RJJB more? Thanks. Well, they kind of waited until towards the end of the game to trap them to great effect. Was I surprised they didn't do it earlier? It's a great point because if the Celtics were watching the tape from Toronto, they would have seen that it was effective throughout the game. I think the Celtics probably believe in their defense and their defensive players to a level where they don't feel like they have to do that. Like they should be able to hold their own because they switch everything and they are all really solid, stout defenders. But it wasn't working for a while there. And like the Knicks were getting what they wanted. So I am surprised. That's a great point, Kevin. I am a little surprised they didn't go to more doubling, trapping to try to get them out of their rhythm. And when they went to it late, it obviously paid dividends. It's a great point. Thanks, Kevin. Fargo Tufo. I really don't have anything else to say, but you deserve another super chat. Please give us your 5 favorite non-Knicks teams to watch this year and why. Thanks, Fargo. I appreciate it. 5 favorite non-Knicks teams to watch this year. Wow. Golden State's always number 1 for me because they're such a unique team. They pass the ball so beautifully. Steph Curry is magnificent to watch. And they play a beautiful brand of basketball that I relate to and I love. And so they're always number 1. They've been number 1 since 2014, almost a decade now. And so that's number 1 for sure. Who else do I love to watch? I love to watch Boston. because they also run beautiful stuff. I really like to watch the way they utilize guard-to-guard screens specifically and how much juice they get out of those, or wing-to-wing, not just guard-to-guard. The way they switch defensively, they're so smart. They're so ahead of the game. I do love to watch Boston. I love to watch OKC. Another really creative offensive team who have a lot of interesting pieces developing and watching developing that I like to watch. I really love Giddey and the way he passes the ball. Watching Shea maneuver in the paint is like hypnotism. He somehow finds his way there every single time down. Definitely OKC. That's number 3. Who else? I'll put Memphis in there. I don't love their team because I kind of just dislike them like personally, but I appreciate the smash mouth basketball they play. Ja is obviously electric. I mean, you never know when he's gonna detonate. And like, again, like there's such a clear game plan and execution that they're on a night-to-night basis. And watching Jaren Jackson Jr. on defense as well. They're pretty cool. And I'd actually say they're not fun to watch because it's not pretty at all. But just for variety's sake, I really like watching Toronto because they're trying something different, and I respect that. And you have 5 guys, 6'9", trying to figure out how to play offense that way. And so, again, personally, I started to dislike them a bit over these last 3 weeks of playing the Knicks every night, but definitely an interesting team to watch. So those are 5 that I just thought off the top of my head, but there are a lot of them out there. Thanks, Fargo. Haitian Ferg. Hey, Haitian. X's and O's defensively isn't his strong suit, but Tibbs does have them believing, hustling, and competing. Crazy as it sounds, Tibbs is like the E-train in the morning. It breaks down, but we still take.
Yet again, another amazing comment. That last sentence was, it breaks down, but we still take it. Well done, Haitian Ferg. Well done.
Oh, man. It breaks down, but we still take it.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to add. Thanks, Haitian. That's elite content. Thank you for providing it. Mangu Man. What's up, Mangu Man? I don't know what a Mangu Man is, but I'm sure it's great. IQ's pace and decisiveness is so refreshing to see. Also, what do you think of the minutes with our top 3 dogs on at the same time? IQ's pace and decisiveness is so refreshing to see, and I will say that there in that third quarter, as I'm watching RJ struggle, there was part of me, and I think I tweeted it, that was like, I'm just literally waiting for that breath of fresh air. Like, refreshing is such a great word for it, because when he comes in the game, the whole vibe changes, man. And the activity increases immediately when he enters. And it has since his rookie year, right? Like, that he's always changed the energy of the game. It's such a unique trait. It's hard to actually pinpoint. It's like an intangible. Like, it's not nothing that, it's just on both ends, there's so much energy and so much smarts and such purpose that he does. He comes in a game and it's refreshing. It's beautiful. He's the best. The minutes of the top 3 dogs at the same time. Yeah, I assume by top 3 dogs, you're referring to RJ, Randle, and Brunson. And there's always been a bit of redundancy there. 3 lefties trying to get to the left side of the rim. It's the tall, grande, and venti versions of the same player. They obviously aren't exactly the same, but that's really primarily what they want to do, is get to their left hand to the rim. And it is a bit sticky, which is why I think the lineups with IQ are better. Because I think it brings a little bit more variety to their team. And none of them, of those 3 guys, are elite defensive players. And so you're playing 3 guys who want to get to the rim, 2 of whom are decent to good 3-point shooters, one of whom has become a very good 3-point shooter, but isn't as willing in Jalen Brunson. So it's not the best spacing, and it's not the best defense. So I don't think it's a great fit. And if you told me that all 3 of these guys will be on the team one day when this team's a contender, I think RJ is going to be on the bench unless he really develops. Because I don't know if there's that starting lineup is going to score enough or be good enough defensively to like really be elite, unless RJ really develops into something that we haven't seen yet, which is I'm holding out hope for. But it's a great question. I don't love the fit between those 3 guys. They're making it work, but they're mostly making it work when IQ's in the game, right? That's the reality. Thanks, Mangu. Jason A, you're doing great, Ben. I'm trying, man. This is different. I'm having a great time, and I appreciate all the comments, all the contribution. You guys are making it a lot of fun. So thank you, Jason. Dom Cappuccini, what are your thoughts on the OG deal, or on a potential OG deal? I assume it appears New York is close to the Toronto ballpark. Is it worth it now, or better off kicking down to summer? I love the player, but don't see the fit. Bench should be priority. Okay, so I will say that this is where Macri and Jeremy come in handy, because I don't necessarily have in the top of my mind, like they do, all the cap issues and the money that has to go back and forth and what the trade would necessarily have to be. I have a general idea, but it's not really my focus, not really where my brain goes. What I will say is that the player himself, OG Anunoby, as I said before, I'm just a little less into and excited about than maybe the average NBA fan is. I think it's a little clunky at times with him. The defense is really good, and they could really, really use a big wing who played. You saw it tonight, and I thought Grimes and IQ played their butts off, and RJ at times played well. But Tatum can rise over Grimes anytime he wants, and bully him to the rim pretty much anytime he wants, even when Grimes is fighting for his life. So they need that guy. It was supposed to be Cam Reddish. Here we are. So in that sense, I really like the fit. And he's a guy who, at least in the way he's used in Toronto, is a little bit low usage and can just catch and shoot and drive closeouts and the stuff that you kind of need on this team right now, except that I'm pretty sure that he wants to do more than that. So that's where it gets tricky. And is it the guy that you want to bring in and have that issue? So I do see the fit. I don't agree with you there, Dom. I do see the fit. I just don't know if it's worth giving up what we'd have to give up for him. And that's really the question. Thanks, Dom. ARA or ARA? What's up?
ARA Rawad. Yeah.
ARA Rawad. Hi, Andrew. Oh, hi, Andrew. That's why you came on, because he said hi, Andrew.
Yeah, I think it's for you, though.
Do you think that we are well armed versus any Eastern team from a playoff perspective except the Bucks? It's not for me. It's for you. He said hi, Andrew.
Right, but I think you might have thought. I'll answer it. Do you think we are well armed?
Also, thank you for the contribution, ARA
yes,
Rawad.
Thank you,
appreciate
ARA Rawad. Except the Bucks.
You
So
answer first, and then I'll answer. We'll make sure he gets his answer.
I have questions about us against a healthy Philly, a healthy Brooklyn. I think here's my biggest takeaway of all this, and this is just how this season has gone. I think every single playoff game the Knicks play this year, play-in or playoff, will be close. It'll be competitive. There's not going to be a night where I'm like, you know what, this is a loss. That's what became so disheartening about the Atlanta series 2 years ago. It was clear by game 3. It's like, oh, this is two different classes, that the Knicks offense was very easily stoppable, and
Yes.
everything that we were banking on during the season, stopped working. And by game 5, it was like, I'll just be happy with one more win. And we didn't even get that. I think that will be different this season. So even in a series against Brooklyn, or because Brooklyn, you'll have, 5 or 6 home games. And with Philly, I'm not going to put it past James Harden to not show up for a playoff game. But I think every playoff game the Knicks play will be competitive.
Could be.
How about you?
To answer the question, I don't think that I wouldn't say well armed versus any of those top 4.
They're gonna not have the best player in every single.
They're just gonna be they're just gonna be out
Yeah.
talented. Those 4 teams are really, really, really good, man. The East is just a beast. I don't know if I'd use that language. Now you want to talk about matchups? Man, they've played all these teams pretty well this year, right? I mean, they've been down to the wire with Philly. They lost on Christmas. They were down to the wire against the Bucks. Grayson Allen, death by Grayson Allen. Boston, they just beat. And the other game they played against Boston was close. And Brooklyn, we'll see. Without Durant, though, so we're not really going to see. They played Brooklyn once, and they got killed.
And they got
actually.
killed.
Yeah,
Much different rotation, but they got killed.
Look, man, like, are they gonna? They're not beating Kevin Durant in a series. They're just not. It's just not. They're not beating Giannis in a series. They're not beating Harden in a series, and they're just not. Like, they're just not there yet, and that's okay. But like you said, I'd love to see a competitive series, even if it's 5. Win a game and make the rest of it competitive. That'll be so fun to watch. Make it 6, and I'll be thrilled. You know what I mean? Like, but get there. More importantly,
I agree.
Thanks, ARA. Appreciate it. Busy's back. Whoa. Busy's back and angry. Wait, so you mean Tibbs designed an offense that is designed to fail the first time so we can get offensive rebounds? And do you think that's a good idea? Failure is relative. Again, offensive rebounding is part of offense. And you have one of the best offensive rebounders in basketball. So part of the strategy, yes. And again, I advise you and I refer you to Fred Katz's article on this, where he has sources that talk about it. The team is designed to take a lot of floaters so that Mitchell Robinson is free for offensive rebounds. This is just true. This is what they do. Yes, I think it's a good idea. That's not to say that there shouldn't be more ball movement down the stretch. I am telling you that there should be more ball movement down the stretch. I agree. But yes, it is part of the design. Absolutely. And it's smart. Think about this. The 3 best offensive rebounders in basketball right now are Mitchell Robinson, Steven Adams, and Clint Capella. What do all 3 of those guys have in common? Their point guards take a ton of floaters. Tops in the league in floater percentage of shots that are floaters, how many floater makes. They're all good at it. And because they're good at it, Ja Morant, Trae Young, Jalen Brunson, the center has to come out to guard it. And all 3 of those guys, they are good offensive rebounders, but they're also taking advantage of the situation. And that is floater takers produce offensive rebounds. It's just true. So yes, I do, Busy. I do think it's a good idea. Thank you for the question. He's back again. If you say the Knicks big 3, thank you, Busy. This is like very generous of you to continue to put out the contributions. So thank you. If you say the Knicks big 3 make bad rim reads and take first available floater, there it is, FAF. Yet this offense is designed around them. Isn't that the argument that the offense should be designed differently? Why design defense around bad decision makers? No, I'll push back on that. It's nuanced. I am saying they should move the ball better. They shouldn't take the first available floater because you might get freaking good 3-pointers and you don't get an offensive rebounder every single time. Like, offensive rebounds are not always available. Sometimes the team boxes out. And by the way, the worse shot the floater is. So like the reason I focus on the first available floater, let me kind of break this down. Oftentimes the first available floater is off that first pick and roll. On the first pick and roll, normally the guard is still right on the back of Jalen Brunson or RJ Barrett or Emmanuel Quickly, which means the center doesn't have to come all the way out, which means that he's now available to box out, which means you're not going to get as many offensive rebounds on the first available floater. When the ball moves, the kick out happens, and now you're blowing by a dude on a closeout who had to close out to your 3-pointer, and you're uncontested for a floater. That's when the center has to sell out on your floater. And when he does that, there's Mitchell Robinson underneath with nobody there to box him out. So it's not mutually exclusive. They should shoot a lot of floaters, but I wish the floaters came off of movement because then, as I said before, the defense is loosened up. Somebody had to fly out on a closeout. He's not in the play. Center has to sell out. Offensive rebound available. Right? So like that's what I mean, is that there could be more ball movement. There should be more ball movement, especially late in the game. Doesn't mean they shouldn't take a lot of floaters, and doesn't mean it's not part of the design that they should take a lot of floaters and get offensive rebounds off those floaters. I hope that's clear, Busy. Thank you. ARA Rawat is back. Ben, are you part of the Cam Hive? I am part of no hive. I am separate and apart from hives. I don't like hives. I never had hives, thankfully. I don't like bees. I don't like hives. People who are in hives, I don't like it because it means, again, by definition, if you're in a hive, you're not being objective about it. And my goal in life, not in life, God, my goal in life are a little bit more ambitious. My goal in basketball analysis is to seek the truth of basketball. That's what I try to do. And I'm not in any hives. No. I do think that Cam Reddish can provide things for this team that they are lacking. And there were times this year where he did so. And the idea that he can never play again, no matter the matchup, no matter the injury, that he's been banished to the Netherlands, to the Neverworld, not the Netherlands. Netherlands seems like a lovely place. Why would you be banished there? It's getting late. Banished to the Neverlands, never can come in. Situational, which means dead, bothers me. So no, I'm not in the Cam Hive, but I'm annoyed that he can never contribute to this team anymore, and I'm annoyed by the asset management because they're going to end up giving him away for less than they got him for, and that's because their front office and their head coach weren't on the same page, and that can't happen. Simple as that. Thanks, ARA. Robert Cross is back. The legend of GMAC. Is Coach BTB your biggest free agent signing? If so, how do you top this? Oh, well. There was a free agent that came available today that Andrew was getting a lot of solicitations for.
Just you wait. The next super chat.
There it is. Sign Caitlin Cooper. Yeah, listen. If Knicks Film School got Caitlin Cooper, we'd be going to the moon. I might have to retire, but we'd be going to the moon.
I think all of us might be taking some pay cuts back.
I just saw the comment from Fargo. Why do you hate the Dutch?
Why do you hate the Dutch? Yeah.
Because I banished Cam Reddish to the Netherlands.
Yes. This super chat is also from Fargo too, folks. Sign Caitlin Cooper, GMAC.
Listen.
Look, I will just say Caitlin Cooper is one of the more brilliant people talking about and breaking down this sport. She's also not a Knicks fan, and we are a niche Knicks channel. I'm confident wherever she ends up, whether it be for an outlet or a team, they will be lucky to have her. And we wish her and all of the Vox Media family that have taken some hits the last week all the very best, So.
Man, 100%. I'm not worried about her because someone's going to sweep her. She's going to end up with a bigger platform than she had before. That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
Tyrese Halliburton tweeted out, Caitlin's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not worried. Let me just say this. I don't know how many people are still here, but
a little over 400.
There's been, I'm sure there's a segment of the listening population here who, with all the tech layoffs, I'm sure there's some victims of that here. I certainly have a few friends who are dealing with that and suffering from that. And obviously just want to, express that it sucks. We're sorry. I'm sure it'll turn around for everybody, but if there's anything that any of us can do, please feel free to reach out because I can imagine how terrible that is. So just thinking of all of you out there.
Agreed. Cosign. Yeah, we got about 10 left. So
all right, here we go. Harry Donert. This post game is a little too nuanced. Sorry. I don't remember the last time we beat the best team in the NBA with their stars. We beat Boston last year with their stars. We beat Cleveland with their stars. So it does happen. No, they weren't the best team. I see. Best team in the NBA. Well, they became the best team in the NBA after we beat them, the Celtics last year. But no, it's a fair. We beat the Clippers 2 years ago. I think both Paul George and Kawhi played in that game. We beat the Clippers twice, I think, 2 years ago.
So there's a game I'm going to, and it's last season. And I know we don't like to acknowledge that anything good or fun happened last season because you're not wrong. I'm trying to see who was playing, and it's the game in Golden State.
Oh, we beat Golden State, the champions. That's right.
Yes. So I'm in February.
I'm pretty sure Steph played in that game.
Steph played. I'm trying to see.
Clay wasn't around. Clay wasn't around. No, Clay didn't play last year until late.
Oh, wow, I'm dumb. I'm in the Brooklyn game log because I was checking if they have what their schedule was until they play on Saturday. Give me a second. You're right about the Clipper game. That Clipper game was big too because it was after the 9-game winning streak. It was during a 6-game road trip that we thought would knock them out of the chance to be the 4 seed. Mm-hmm. Julius had a big game. That game was on Mother's Day too, if I remember, and created one of John's best post-game reactions in his old place. It also created a viral moment where Tibbs called out the the great Mark Berman for he pushed back on some questions.
Yes.
So yeah, that happened.
But to your point, Harry, it doesn't happen often in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So we should definitely cherish it. That's for sure.
I am looking at the Knicks schedule. I'm at the point where it got not fun anymore, and I'm looking at Golden State now. In that Golden State game, the Knicks won 116-114 in the Chase Center.
Mm-hmm.
Both Steph and Clay played. Draymond Green didn't play, but that's the only one.
Played. Oh, must have was late enough in the year. Okay, so there you go.
Clay played. Andrew Wiggins played. Kuminga started. It's really just Draymond Green. So if you want to say the Knicks, like the Marcus Smart didn't play tonight, so they technically were missing their defensive guy.
I think Draymond's closer to a star. Well,
but that's my point. Is like if you're going like the fourth or third best player was missing for both cases, so that's the only part that
I think that's your answer. Then it's Golden State last year.
This feels better.
It does.
That felt fluky. This felt like Busy has said, a statement win.
Nothing last year felt very good.
No, it did not.
Until actually opening night. After that,
and then after that,
Kevin Danishevsky. Imagine I wake up in a coma. No, I don't want to imagine that. After banging your head post the Atlanta series, I ask you how Randle's last 2 years have gone. How do you start? Man, roller coaster. He basically continued the Atlanta series for an entire year and then remembered that he was good. That's how I explain it to you. It's been wild, man. What a wild 4 years as a New York Knick for Julius Randle. Maybe the most wild 4 years of any Knick of all time. It's hard to believe the swings that he has had as a player and the difference in the value that he's brought. Thanks, Kevin. Dom Cappuccini. Silly, but does it annoy you that despite 2 defensive games against really good teams, the Knicks are still sliding on defensive rating? No. Doesn't bother me because they're missing Mitchell Robinson. And schedule does play a part in these ratings because who you play is going to affect your rating one way or the other, right? So, like, even a good defensive performance against the Celtics, which I thought it was overall after the first quarter, you're still going to give up some points to that team, no matter who you are. It's a team that was like on pace to be the best offense in the league before the last 10 games when they kind of slid back to earth. But like, it's a really elite offensive team. No, it doesn't annoy me. I do want to see that defense improve, especially once Mitch comes back. I think being top 10 in defense is probably by the end of the year, if I'm being honest. I think it's more likely the Knicks are probably top 10 in defense than offense. Like, I think that might flip. We'll see. Thanks, Tom. Amazement. 717. Shouts to Sims for work on the glass too. Yes, but I thought more in the second half than the first half. I don't know the count, but it just felt like he was being more impactful on the rebounds. Just decided to go get it, man, because when that guy jumps, nobody should be able to contend with him. And he started to do it more in the second half and overtime too. He really cleaned up. So yes, credit to Sims for that and growing into the game. I thought it was a huge game for Jericho's development. I really did. Anthony Sixto, thanks again for the contribution, Anthony. Sims slowly improving the timing of his jump on boards, reading the ball. Exactly. Similar comment. I agree. Less of that springing up early, just needs to not get lost in ball movements. So Anthony, that is as well said as anything that I've ever said. 100%. It's the timing on the rebounding, whether to chase the floater, whether to stay back on the glass, figuring out that balance, and then not getting lost in the ball movement. But I thought in the first half, I thought he was lost. And then in the second half, I thought he stayed with it. And he gives you flexibility, man, because you can switch with him more than you can with Mitch. He's pretty quick laterally, as Jericho. And he did it a few times in this game. He closed out to the three-point line a few times in an impressive fashion. I thought he was really solid in the second half. And by the way, I know Hartenstein had a terrible pass. That was like the focus of his game. But overall, I thought it was another strong performance. And a nice backup to the Cleveland game when he broke out of his funk. And like, especially with Mitch out, they're going to need both those guys. So to see them both playing well in a game like this, is as important as anything. It was huge. Great job by them. Thanks, Anthony. Guber then. Thank you for the contribution. I love Brunson. I do, but he got some horrendous ball hog tendencies, and it's brutal at times. And when he does pass, it's to Randle 80% of the time. Yes. I don't know about ball hog tendencies. I think that's a little strong. I think it feeds into Tibbs' preference to not turn the ball over, so he's very careful with his passing. But he does hold on to the ball too long. He does. And too many first available floaters. And I want him to kind of cut those a little bit and be a little bit more of a distributor. And I think early in the year, he had some big assist games, and I feel like it's slowly kind of dwindled. And he does kind of look to Randle a lot more than anybody else, and it's frustrating. Let me see. How many assists did he have tonight? He ended up with 7 assists. Didn't feel like it, but it does feel like he can get back to those 10 assist games would be nice. I'm just a little less sticky with it. I agree with you there. Thank you for the contribution. Mike Farinello. Thanks, Mike. I get they're both really good players, but something doesn't sit right with me if Butler and Bam make the All-Star game on a 6-seed team. I hear that. And I guess the only argument then would be that you definitely can't have the 2 guys on the 7th-seed team, which means only 1 Knick. But I agree. I could see 1 Heat and 1 Knick getting in. I don't mind that at all. I think that's very fair. And I think different people would pick one of those Heat players and different people would pick one of the Knicks players. Depends on your point of view and your perspective. Personally, I think it's Bam and Julius right now. Thanks, Mike. Sam L. Thank you, Sam. Love the insight you provide as a player / coach / X's and O's guys, Benji. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that very much. You do a great job of leaning into your strengths when analyzing the team. Respect. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. All we can do is lean into our strengths and recognize our weaknesses. That's true of anyone in any position in the world, including on your New York Knicks. And the players need to do that. I certainly need to do that. We all need to do that. Make the world a better place. That's my life advice that you all came here for. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate the kind words. Fargo Tufo, thank you again. Did you think you'd be up past midnight for this? I had a feeling after the game ended and as the game went on and as it got crazy, although I didn't know how people would react to the substitute teacher. And I appreciate you guys all keeping me here with all of the generous contributions and the great questions and great insights and laughs that you have brought. So thank you all. I don't mind listen, man, I could talk ball until 4 a.m. It doesn't feel like time is passing to me. This is what I love to do. So, did have a feeling I'd be up past midnight and I'm happy to do it. Thanks, Fargo.
So to be clear, do you want me to turn this into a mailbag and I'll just start putting up random questions until 4 a.m.?
You don't want that? You don't want that? No,
please. No, I have to then edit this as soon as we're done. So yeah, 2 more. Don't worry.
If you got good questions, I'll keep answering them.
Benji.
Pluckster, what?
Don't say that because then they'll send good questions and then we'll be here till 4 a.m. Thank you, everybody, is what I'm
just trying. Yeah. All right, I will. Pluckster, thank you for the contribution. Love the videos, Benji. Thank you very much for that. If you were a coach, how would you get the most out of iHeart? Any extra productivity they could squeeze out of him would be big. Great question. I would let him initiate from the elbows. That is something he did for the Clippers a lot. I think there's, when I wrote my thread on Hartenstein when they signed him, I said, if Tibbs allows it and lets him play to his strengths, I think he could be a big value add and add variety to an offense that gets a little bit redundant. And being able to initiate with him from the elbows, let him pass. We saw it once on a backdoor to Deuce against Cleveland. They didn't do it much tonight. But that really leans into his strengths as a player. And I would like to see that more. That said, I think the last 2 games have been really encouraging. He's been much, much better and coming out of that funk a little bit. And I think the fit between him and Tibbs is tough because he is a risky passer, although he's a very good one. You saw it on the outlet pass tonight. And I think Tibbs is kind of scared to empower him in the offense because of that. But I'd lean into it a little bit more. You sign the guy, you might as well use his strengths, right? Clear the baseline, let him hit cutters, have duck-ins. I really think it's a great way to get Julius and RJ low post touches. Like you can imagine an entry pass at the elbow to iHeart and then a duck-in from Julius or a duck-in from RJ for a little high-low, like that kind of thing. I would love to see that variety. But we haven't seen it. And I'm not sure that we will. But it is something that I wish we did a bit more. Thanks, Bluckster. Shimmy MD. What's up, Shim? Benji, Shabbat Shalom, my friend. What a win. Shabbat Shalom to you and to anybody else here who will be celebrating Shabbat tomorrow night. The next game's 5:30, so I will be missing at least the beginning of that game. But I will catch up, I'm sure, and watch the whole thing. And Shabbat Shalom to you, to anybody else. Thank you, Shimmy. Red Sarachek's back. It's 2029. Obi's averaging 39 points in 6 minutes, and Tibbs is smiling. That would be impressive. Yeah, look, he's got to make the most of the small opportunities he gets, and right now he's doing it, and we're glad for it. Thanks.
And we're done.
We're done. All right.
How you feeling?
I feel great. This is, I gotta say, grueling.
Yes.
I made a terrible, fun, but for my voice,
but I get it.
I'm like having trouble breathing. I forgot to bring a drink, which is a rookie mistake, but I am a rookie. I could use some freaking water. But man, I loved it.
Yes.
It's great because on Twitter, you put something out and you get some interaction and you answer what you can, but like half of them are trolls and half of them are saying stupid things. But like here you got like, because it's to everybody in the world that wants to talk. Here you got like Knicks Film School people, and Knicks Film School people are like smart and clever and like are kind mostly and challenge you. And it's like, so it's such a great way to just like actually interact back and forth with people. So it's been awesome. A lot of fun.
I agree. You did a tremendous job.
Thank you, Andrew.
As far as the rookie's concerned, rookie of the year here at KFS.
Thanks.
So I'm going to say 2 more things. One, shout out to one of my podcast partners, Mr. Bernardo Zrowski, whose birthday was yesterday. Shout out to him. We collabed for a reaction on his YouTube channel to the Oscar nominations. If you're into movies and you want to see our reactions to the nominations the other day, head on over to the Invention of Dreams YouTube channel. And then I don't want to end on a sour note, but I thought this was pretty cool. Kendra Randall on Instagram posted a screenshot of Julius in her story and said that Julius went to mass 30 minutes before leaving for the bus for the game and lit a candle for Kobe Bryant and Gigi. And rest in peace, Mamba and beautiful Gigi. And this being the 3-year anniversary of Kobe Bryant and his daughter's passing. And it still feels weird to me that Kobe Bryant is referred to posthumously. And you have to wonder if that had a little bit of edge to Julius's game tonight, doing that.
Well, I saw that Tatum was wearing the armband for Kobe 24. And man, I would be lying if I didn't say I thought about it when he rose up for that last second shot, which was a Kobe-esque,
fade away,
elbow fade at the buzzer, and it looked good to me. And I know that Kobe was like Tatum's like inspiration. Look, he's missed for sure. He was a legend in the game. He was a legend post his career. I think a lot of guys were super inspired by him. I certainly was inspired by him watching growing up. Just like a superhuman of a player. It's good to shout it out. Rest in peace to them. And it's sad. It is. It's tough.
It is. And the beauty of his impact is, yes, it would have been like symbolic if Tatum hits the game winner in tribute to Kobe, but his impact was so wide around the league that you just then pivot to, Julius Randle's performance was then that way.
That was his rook.
Yeah. There's a fun clip going around. I hope people find it. Julius Randle's actual rookie year, not his first year because he broke his leg minutes into his rookie year, but his second year and Kobe's, I believe, last season. Julius Randle went 1-on-1 against Kevin Garnett for a game, and it was Kevin Garnett kind of playing bully ball, testing out a young Julius Randle, 20-year-old Julius Randle. and Julius went head to head with him, and Kobe answered questions the next day and was just like, yeah, I knew KG was going to do that. And I think the way Julius handled himself, made him earn KG's respect. That's who Julius Randle is. And, that shows how the maturity of Kobe, because we were basketball fans for his entire career. We saw him go from the 18-year-old taking air balls against Utah to a mentor for a generation of basketball players. And
100%. And it's so apropos because you think about Julius and his career, ultimate resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about a guy who had a terrible basketball injury in his first minutes, came back, team turmoil. Like Kobe at the end of his career, it could not have been an easy, I'm sure it was a privilege for him to play with Kobe,
mm-hmm.
but in terms of basketball situation for a rookie, not the easiest. And then the team gives up on him. He goes to New Orleans. He rebuilds himself there, comes to New York, has a terrible first year. He's getting booed in the Garden, has the we here season. Last year he's got thumbs down, terrible year, but there's a resiliency. It's impressive. And you wonder, I'm sure it's partially from that exact mentorship you're talking about. So it's pretty cool.
I agree. Close this out, Benji.
All right. Thank you everybody for joining us. This was amazing. Thanks for supporting me in my debut. I had a great time. Thank you, Andrew, for your constant support. You're the best. Shout out to everybody out there who tuned in. And hey, great win. We can enjoy this one for a couple days. Have a great night, everyone.